Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
It may be September, but it is a spectacular night for baseball. A great American ballpark in Cincinnati as Fox Sports Ohio brings you Cincinnati Reds baseball. It's the National League East first place team, the New York Mets, coming to town to take on the Cincinnati Reds. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everyone. Along with the crappy left-hander Chris Welch and Jim Day, I'm George Grand. You know, the last time these two teams played was back in June in New York. The Mets were at 500. They swept a doubleheader from the Reds. They are 48-30 since then. They're on a roll, Chris.
Well, they are on a roll. Recently, maybe not so much, but overall in the second half of the year, they've really put it to it. They won 20 games in the month of August. They're a team that really separated themselves from the second-place team, the Washington Nationals. And now it's not a matter of if they're going to the playoffs. It's what their pitching staff's going to look like, what kind of momentum they're going to have. This is really an ideal situation for the Mets.
Well, this is a Mets team that made some moves right before the trading deadline. Sandy Alderson, the general manager, brought in one big-time guy, and that, of course, is Yoenis Cespedes. And since Cespedes and three other key players got there, Chris, his team is different.
Well, I mean, it's remarkable what one player can really do. I mean, since joining the Mets, look at this. In 49 games, he has 42 runs batted in. I mean, this isn't a guy that comes over here and has a hot spurt in a series or maybe a week long. He has carried this ball club. And, of course, you get David Wright back. You're getting good pitching. Your bullpen is beginning to get pretty solid. And it's a very interesting dynamic there with the Mets. But he has given them a reason to believe in New York.
Tug McGraw used to say, you got to believe. Well, you got to believe these numbers, Chris. Take a look at them since August the 1st, 32-17, averaging 5 runs a ball game and 75 home runs all told. Not just Cespedes, but, you know, the 3 other acquisitions have been key, and we'll talk about that as the night progresses. And on the mound, this is a young pitching staff that has been outstanding. One of them we'll get to see for the second time this year. That is Steven Matz. He was brilliant against the Reds back in June.
Well, the reality of baseball is that he pitched June 28th against the Mets and had a tremendous day. I mean, he went 7 2/3 innings, gave the Reds a couple of runs. He also went 3 for 3 at the plate and drove in 4. Well, the guy that he pitched against was Josh Smith. And guess what? Josh Smith will be his counterpart tonight as he takes them out. But this young left-hander, 22 years old, Steven Matz, very talented, and he's a fresh arm because he's missed some of the season with an arm injury. He comes back at the right time for the Mets.
Matz is 4-0. Josh Smith is 0-2. You're looking for his first win, Chris.
Well, he is, and he's pitched some pretty good ball games. You see what he did on June the 28th against the Mets. A lot of that damage, by the way, was done by his pitching counterpart. But he's a guy that's not overpowering, and we've talked about Josh Smith in the past. He's got to stay down around the knees. When he does, he's going to get a lot of ground balls, and that's got to be his game plan tonight.
So it's Matz against Smith, and oh yeah, this is the 4th Bark in the Park series of games for the Reds on this night. And yes, they will hit the century mark. What do we mean? Jim Day will tell us when we come back next on Fox Sports Ohio.
Josh Smith and Steven Matz take the mound. I think I have their baseball cards. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to check that one. Look for a great night down at the ballpark. 78, falling down to 68. I think you're going to enjoy this one. I think it's going to be a pitcher's duel. What do you think? Woo! Go ahead. Pitch it in here. Woo! Oh! Enjoy the game, everybody, on Fox Sports Ohio. You got to replace that light over there. Woo!
Tim, thank you. It is a gorgeous night here at GABP. I'm Jim Day, and yet another rookie goes to the hill for Cincinnati. It's going to be like that, barring anything unforeseen the rest of the season. And each time out, they better their own record. In fact, they'll hit the century mark tonight. Our Elk and Elk storylines look like this. Most starts by rookie pitchers in a single season. The Reds coming into tonight, 99 consecutive games. They are just crushing the single season record. MLB record, though, is 124 by the 1997 Marlins. So hitting the century mark tonight. And every one of those rookies that have gone to the hill, 9 of them, everyone but one has won a game. Josh Smith still seeking his first Major League victory. He hopes to get it tonight. And a little home cooking versus the NL East. George Grant and Chris Welsh will have that story. Lineups, first pitch, play-by-play action, Reds and Mets on deck.
Brought to you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. Chevy, check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? Hey, it's Skyline time. From the banks of the Ohio River, George Grant, Chris Welsh, Jim Day, and our entire crew here on Fox Sports Ohio. Terry Collins is here too. TC, 66 years of age. 5th season as the Mets manager, closing in on 400 victories as a Mets manager. He previously managed back in the 90s, 3 years in Houston and 3 years in Anaheim, and was officially named in 2010 here, and he's heading to the postseason. Let's check his starting lineup to start things off tonight in the first of 4 games to be played here in Cincinnati. Curtis Granderson who's really nestled into the leadoff spot. He's got a career high, heading for a career high in walks, something you never thought you'd see from Curtis Granderson. David Wright is back off the disabled list, so is Murphy, and Cespedes has just been outstanding since coming over. Lucas Duda, the big first baseman, back off the DL too. He's the big power source in the middle of the lineup. Travis d'Arnaud has had a great second half. Michael Conforto's come up and provided power in the left field spot. Ruben Tejada's had a bounce back year at short, and Steven Matz, well, you know his story. 3 hits against the Reds and 4 RBI in his debut. And here is Josh Smith.
Josh Smith, second time he gets a look at these Mets this year. And the first one was back there on June the 28th. It happened to be against Steven Matz, as you mentioned, George. And, you know, we've seen Josh good. We've seen Josh bad. When he's down around the knees, he has a chance to work that pitch and get him to hit the top of the ball and get a lot of ground balls.
5th major league start, 7th career appearance, and he faces a team that has really finally been hitting the ball in the second half of the year. Look at Granderson, 23 home runs and 7 leadoff home runs. This one will be lofted to left. Squeezing it is Ivan De Jesus for the first out. Let's check your forward defensive alignment behind Josh Smith. De Jesus is in left. Jason Bourgeois is in center. You know that Billy Hamilton will undergo surgery on his shoulder tomorrow, performed by Dr. Timothy Kremchek. Jay Bruce, who's had a big power source of late, is over at right. Frazier, Eugenio Suarez at short. Phillips and Votto as usual over on the right side, and Ryan Pena with that hamstring healed is behind the plate for Josh Smith. One away, and here's David Wright. Wright was on the disabled list when the Reds played the Mets back in June, and with stenosis of the spine, they really didn't know, Chris, back then. Terry Collins told us when we talked to him, right, that they didn't know whether he'd be back at all this year. But look at the numbers.
Well, they really don't know going forward how that back is going to hold up over the rigors of playing Major League Baseball every day. But he has been the heart and soul of this ball club for really ever since he came up to the major leagues.
Virginia native digs in with a .305 average, 4 homers and 13 knocked in. Batting .295 in the 23 games since coming off the DL. And has had a hot month of September. And when you get a veteran, and especially your captain, and he was named captain, of course, of the Mets, and you're injured and you come back and the team is playing well, you wonder how it might work out. Well, for the Mets, it's worked out great. And you've watched him, Chris. We watched him since he first came up. He's really matured into a leadership role on this club. Well,
he had no choice. You look around and there's nobody else really can do that. If this ball club's going anywhere, David Wright has to be part of that leadership. Great pitch right there. Set him up with an outside fastball and came right back with the slider. Josh Smith's slider is a tight little slider. I mean, it not a big loop on that. It almost looks like a fastball. That's the whole idea of that pitch. But just a little bit of break at the end, slight downward break. And if you throw it on that spot, you're going to get some good success.
2 away. And Chris, for a guy that didn't have a big arm, 86 innings pitched, that's 70 strikeouts and 24 walks. Those are pretty good numbers.
Well, you know, Smith is a guy that has worked his way through the Reds minor league system. He was taken out of college. He was 22 years old when he signed. And he wasn't a high round draft pick. He came in the 21st round. So he came up through the Reds organization. All the coaching staff knows him. And he's learned how to polish what he has got. And at 27 years old, you got to figure you're looking at the finished product. By the way, that 2010 draft is the same draft year that his bound counterpart Steven Matz was drafted, except Matz came out of high school.
And Matz, of course, had a 2-year detour with surgery and is just now really reaching not only his physical but his maturity stage as a pitcher. Been a long road for Smith coming through the Reds organization. And here at the major league level, looking for his first win. Loop to the left side and foul down the left field line from Daniel Murphy. Murphy's hit in 6 straight. The average at .278, 13 homers, 68 knocked in. And Murphy's on that list. He's one of those that has spent time on the disabled list this year as well. Glad to have him back. He's played second and third when Wright was out. He was primarily a third baseman, back where he's become most comfortable. And Chris, I guess on a different team, you know, if he was on the one of the power teams traditionally in the league, he'd be your utility guy. He can play everywhere, play the outfield, play around the infield too, and he's got some pop.
Well, he's dangerous, especially the last 10 ball games. I mean, he can hit a fastball. He always has been able to. They're going to try to come inside with him.
It's a little low, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now everybody talks about the guy on deck, Cespedes, being a free agent. Murphy's going to be a free agent end of the year too, who's been here for a lot of years. You know, Bobby Parnell, Wright, and Murphy are the only 3 guys that were here when this team was really bad. You wonder what they might do in the offseason. Wright's not going anywhere. That's a bouncer, fair. Votto has it, taps the bag, and it's a 1-2-3. Good start for Josh. Reds go to the bat rack. Votto will be up 3rd. In 87, 31.5 games back of the Cardinals, the division leader in the Central Division. You know that Brian Price does not want to see the Mets clinch here in Cincinnati, and this is a lineup that he will send out against the Mets in Game 1 of the series, sponsored by Meyer. Jason Bourgeois back in the leadoff spot. Ivan De Jesus Jr. will hit in the number 2 spot. Joey Votto heading to uncharted territory with a great year that he's had. Continues to be hot, continues to get on base. He's 3rd. Brandon Phillips near the 300 mark. Frazier, Bruce, who had spent time in the number 2 hole, has dropped back down in the lineup here. Suarez, the shortstop, hits 7th. Pena 8th, and Josh Smith, the pitcher, bats in the number 9 position. And here was the Reds' killer of June, Steven Matz, Chris.
Well, just turned 24 years old when the Reds faced him on June the 28th. He is still 24. And young man has been really a find for the Mets, especially this time of year when it seems like a lot of their young pitching is beginning to wear down a little bit. They've been in a pennant race. This ball club has come from 4.5 games behind to at one point 9.5 games up in the National League East. So Matz, they get a fresh arm, a guy that is primarily a 2-pitch pitcher. He's a fastball pitcher. As you see, he can ride it up there in 95, 96 range. And he's got a very sharp breaking ball. Those are the 2 pitches he relies on most.
How's that for a breaking ball? Strikeout number 1, out number 1 for Steven Matz in that debut against the Reds on the 28th of June. 7 2/3 innings of 2-run baseball in a game that the Mets won 7-2. And by the way, in addition to that kind of pitching, he also had 3 hits and 4 runs batted in, Chris. Not a bad day, huh?
And the Mets, as you mentioned, George, they were kind of struggling at that point. They were a team that really did not have an identity. They knew that they had good young pitching, but they weren't sure whether they were ever going to be able to score enough runs, whether they were going to get David Wright back. There were so many question marks. And that team from then until now is like a completely different team.
That performance by Matz, I mean, you knew it when you saw it that it was special. And as they, pull their way through all the record books. They just found out that he was the 11th player in baseball history at the 100-year mark to have 3 hits and 4 runs batted in his debut. That's pretty rare territory. 6'2", 200 pounds. And he's a local kid, too. Stony Brook, New York. So on that day, not only were the Mets fans behind him, but he had a couple of hundred family and friends that were there, too. He estimated at least 130, and there's a line shot into right. That's a base hit for the number 2 hitter, Ivan De Jesus. Let's check your Ford defensive alignment for the Mets. One of the additions in the second half of the season is the rookie Michael Conforto. Not only is he hit well, he's been outstanding defensively in left field. Cespedes moves over to center. Lagares, the Gold Glovers, had elbow troubles, hasn't hit, so Cespedes playing center. Granderson always solid in right. David Wright is at third. Tejado's had a bounce back year offensively and defensively at short. And Murphy and Duda on the right side. Travis d'Arnaud, good handler of pitches, solid behind the plate, and he throws well too behind the plate. Here's Votto, 314, 29 homers, 76 knocked in. That 29 number significant. One more and he hits the 30 home run mark, and rarefied territory if he gets to the 300 mark at the end of the year, and he's just about guaranteed to that. He'd have to go like 0 for 25 to dip under 300. If he hits 30 homers, he would be among a select group of Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, and Ted Williams to have those numbers: 300, 150 walks, and 30 homers. He's heading towards 150 walks. That's looks like a guarantee, Chris. He's been a walking man.
Well, he has been. I mean, he's just a guy that knows the strike zone and refuses to go outside of the strike zone to pitch at pitches where the odds of him getting a base hit are not as good at pitches that are in the zone. So he wants to maximize every at bat, and I think he wants to maximize every pitch. But what sets him apart is his ability to recognize those pitches right out of the pitcher's hand. You know, the one thing he has working against him when he faces a pitcher like Steven Matz is that he is unfamiliarity. I mean, yes, he's faced him, he's got him on video, but Votto studies video in a different way than I think most other players do. And he wants to be familiar with these guys that he's facing.
He battles him for a base hit, so it's back-to-back base hits, single to right, single to center.
I can guarantee you that on that pitch, Votto was betting the ranch that it was going to be a breaking ball. Not that he couldn't manage to hit a fastball or fight one off like he did on the previous pitch. But he fought off a fastball at 94 miles an hour. Then Matt says, well, you know what? I'm going to roll out my curveball because everybody I've thrown this to in the minor leagues this year swings and misses on it. And he throws it to Votto, and Votto hits a line drive up the middle.
Well, heading to career highs in walks, but also career high 41 straight games reaching base safely via a walk or a hit. A career high for Joey. So 1 out, 2 on, and here's Brandon. He'd love to finish at 300. But more importantly, he's been delivering runs for the Reds. 66 runs batted in and a 294 average.
You know, despite how bad the road trip was, and the Reds lost 6 of the 9 games they played, and they had played horrible in the month of August and so on and so forth, you still want to win every game. The clubhouse is so much better after a win. They don't remind themselves they're in next to last place when they win a ball game. They just celebrate the fact that they've got a W. And that's why you get out here and you grind it out, even against a team that, you know, is going to the playoffs and you're going nowhere. You want to beat them this night. You want to come back out tomorrow and you want to beat them again tomorrow night.
Well, Baltimore helped the Mets today. They beat Washington 5-4. Dodgers beat Arizona 6-3, and the Pirates won over Colorado 5-4. So knock another number off that magic number list. And Chris, I don't think there's any doubt you don't want to see somebody clinch on your home field. You know, you and I remember, you know, in our years, 23 years of doing games together, 24 now, that that 1999 year when the Mets won that one-game playoff after the miraculous year the Reds had and battling to the end. The empty feeling of watching the other team celebrate on your field hurts.
Well, especially when you're the ones who are going home losers.
Yep.
It would be a little different if the Mets happened to clinch here, and they could do it because that magic number started today at 5. It's now down to 4.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Towards the hole, through, rounding third, coming to the plate is De Jesus. The throw to the plate's going to be wide, and he's in there. Well, Conforto came a long way, came up throwing, and the throw a little bit wide. Conforto's been better than advertised defensively in the outfield, but here a good throw on the plate gets De Jesus.
Well, the ball was a ground ball by the time Conforto got it. And you've got 2 outs and a pretty decent speed there in Ivan De Jesus. So the money would have had to been right, or the throw had to been right on the money to get him. And it was not.
Well, the 1-out base hit, 3 hits in a row, and the Reds lead it 1-0. Brandon's continued to deliver. And here's Frazier at 261. 35 homers and 88 knocked in. Already prepared to deliver his 20th pitch of his first inning. A different story from the last time these two teams played each other and Matz was on the mound. From the stretch is Matz. Your home plate umpire Adam Hamari, a rookie umpire up from the minor leagues. Angel Hernandez is over at first, the veteran. Chris Conroy at second, and Teddy Barrett's over at third. Wish you'd have had one of your Teddy Barrett tech talks before the game today in his honor.
We can dial him up anytime you need it, George.
Swing and a miss. So Frazier's retired. Second out of the inning. 2 strikeouts in the inning. There is Teddy, and by the way, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Congratulations to Ted. His son Andrew went to the Air Force for 4 years. Now he didn't listen to his dad. He wants to become an umpire. Umpired in Arizona, now in Florida. Boy, the bits that you did with him in spring training in the last couple of years, so informational.
Well, if I have it my way, George, there'll be a lot more of that coming out soon. I'll keep you posted.
To be continued. There's Jay. 25th home run was a rocket shot, 456 feet in St. Louis. One of the longest balls ever hit there. It's been all or nothing for him lately, huh, Chris? But he's been on the ball.
Well, I don't get the feeling that he's swinging for home runs, but he certainly has had pitches that he can drive a long way, and they've gone a long way. He averages, I think, the last 4 or 5 home runs he's hit, all of them have gone about 450 feet or longer.
Anything you can attribute it to? Is he doing anything different?
Well, I talked to Don Long about that, and they're just trying to do the same thing as they always do with Jay Bruce, is just to keep that front shoulder in and keep him from looping the bat.
Well, Matt strikes out the side in the first, but in between the Reds get 3 hits and a run. The Reds lead it 1-0. The big guy, Cespedes, coming up when we return. want to update you tonight. We've got the final Fox Sports Ohio ticket offer of the season. Get view level tickets to see the Reds and Mets this weekend for just $10. Any game on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, only $10. Go to reds.com/FSOhio. Use the code FSOhio to get yours right now. Brandon Phillips delivers a base hit to give the Reds a 1-0 lead. We go to the top of 2. Yoenis Cespedes, Lucas Duda, and Travis d'Arnaud. Very seldom do you make a deal that ends up the way that this deal went for the Mets. I mean, Cespedes came to town, and boy, his numbers have just been off the charts. We chronicled it in the pregame show and in the open, but to show it to you again, 102 games with Detroit, 18 homers, 17 homers with the Mets in 49 games. So 35 homers on the year and 103 runs batted in. I mean, and that's certainly not that he's going to win it, but it put him in the MVP talk in the National League just by what he's meant to this ball club. 288, 17 homers in 49 games and 42 knocked in as a Met. And he, I think other than that, Chris, he changed the culture. I mean, he added some juice in a city that really thrives on juice. 2 balls, 1 strike. Didn't get all of that at the warning track, and that's amazing. It looked like he hit it off the end of the bat, and it still goes to the warning track. That's power.
He's probably looking around saying, hey, I like this place. A little bit of a slider that more rolls than anything. The only thing that Josh Smith has going for him there is that Cespedes gets it out on the end of the bat. It keeps going and going. And so does Jason Bourgeois to finally get it in front of the wall.
As Joe Torre would say when he talked about his best power hitters, when he hits it, it stays hit. When Cespedes hits it, it stays hit. Even off balance off the end of the bat, he still hits the warning track in left center field. 1 away. Here's Duda, another power source, 22 homers, 58 knocked in. For the better part of 2.5 years, the question was who would be the first baseman of the future for the Mets. Would it be Ike Davis or Lucas Duda? They finally traded Davis away and gave Duda the chance. And he's been hot, he's been cold. When he's hot, he gives you power, but coming off the disabled list the first of this month, he struggled the whole month of September. Only 171 since coming off the DL. Earlier in the year when he was locked in, he'd take that outside pitch, go the other way to left, but now everybody's overshifting against him again simply because he's trying to pull everything. The Reds overshift here. Tale of 2 cities, tale of 2 months.
In a way, those numbers for Lucas Duda and his approach at the plate and his very hot and then very cold streaks remind you a little bit of what the Reds have with Jay Bruce.
Yep.
I mean, they're both big-bodied left-handers. They both have lots of home runs. And they are susceptible to extreme streakiness. Although the walk is the one thing that never goes to sleep. So if you have a good idea of the strike zone and you keep working it as best you can, that will get you through your slow spots. As Joey Votto has found out as well as anybody in baseball right now.
There's Josh working from the stretch for the first time. The 2 first basemen next to each other over on the right side of the infield. Here's Travis d'Arnaud, 280, 12 homers and 41 knocked in. He's had a bounce back offensive year. 8 home runs since the All-Star break. And he's had important hits. I mean, we talk about Cespedes, but Juan Uribe, Kelly Johnson, d'Arnaud, even Ruben Tejada have had big hits in the second half that have helped the Mets win key ball games. And in d'Arnaud's case, 7 of his 12 home runs have either given the Mets the lead or tied the game. One ball, 2 strikes. Two stints on the DL this year have kind of kept the numbers down. Broke his pinky finger earlier in the year and then strained his elbow in a tag at home plate. The Reds, one of the few teams, as you look at d'Arnaud at the plate, that will shade him towards left center. Most will shade him towards right center field. The Reds have Bourgeois about 2 or 3 steps towards left center. Takes a little off, out in front, swing and a miss. That's 2 strikeouts for Josh Smith. 2 away, and here comes Michael Conforto.
I like to see the 2 different speeds of breaking ball that Josh Smith throws. That's a curveball variety right there at 77 miles an hour. An earlier strikeout he got from David Wright was about 5 miles an hour faster, more of a slider. And right down there where you see him throw it is the place to be.
Well, here's the rookie left fielder, Michael Conforto. Young man out of Washington, 6'1", about 215, 220. The first round pick of the Mets back in 2014. The plan was to keep him at AA, move him to AAA until next year. But when the Mets struggled big time offensively, right about the same time that they made the deal for Cespedes, they gave him a chance to see what he could do, and boy, has he responded.
Yeah, he came up really about a week before Cespedes got there, and had Cespedes not been traded to the Mets, only people in New York would be talking about would be this guy, if you're a Mets fan especially, because actually if you compare the numbers that Michael Conforto and Cespedes have put up, and if you believe in WAR, wins above replacement, you're talking about this guy having a better WAR on his time with the Mets than Cespedes has. And they're talking about a Cespedes in the MVP talk. So a lot of ways to shake him.
Good handling of the bat. He'll bounce one through on the left side for a base hit. Well, here are the guys that have made such a difference right off the disabled list. Conforto up and Cespedes via the trade. Those are pretty big numbers for 3 guys who have helped turn this team around offensively. And of course, in Conforto's case, I mean, he came out of nowhere. You knew about Wright. You just hope he'd get healthy, and you knew about Cespedes.
Well, the real difference between Cespedes and Conforto is that Cespedes wants a 7-year deal next year, and Conforto's 23 years old and under team control for the next 6.
You sound like Sandy Alderson now. First and second, 2 away. And the other side of that, Chris, of course, is that, I mean, the bar has been set at around $200 million, and that's what everybody's saying he's going to ask for, meaning Cespedes. The question is, will the Mets sign him? Will they try to sign him and not let him go to free agency? And if they make a run in the postseason, you know they're going to make an effort at it. But if you're his agent, you probably want him to go to free agency to see what the market will call for.
If you're the Mets, do you even consider even discussing that subject right now?
Not now, no. Huh?
I mean, let things play out. Let's see how you do in the postseason. I mean, I would think that the Mets' attitude would be a whole lot different if they get knocked out in the first round versus they win the World Series. So, you know, if he wants to throw those numbers out early on, that's fine. But I'm not so sure the team needs to respond right now. Not when they've got bigger things on their plate.
They got enough things swirling around with the innings count controversy and their pitching staff. Here's Tejada, 270, 3 homers, 28 knocked in. Down to third, backing up is Frazier. He'll win the race to the bag. Good job by Josh Smith. Gives up a walk and a single, but no harm. When we return, back to the bat rack. Homestand, it got a whole lot easier to win the Toyota Tundra. We've been talking about it all year, of course. And tonight, if a Reds home run that lands in the area extending from the right field foul pole to section 46 below the PNC Tower stacks. Thank you, Chris Welsh.
There's the power stacks.
Rafael Gonzalez from Florence, Kentucky will win a brand new 2015 Tundra courtesy of your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Visit reds.com/Tundra for complete contest rules and details. The 6 local dealerships, and you know the story, the way it's unfolded. You know, if you hit the Toyota sign in right center field, you could win it. No one's done that. And what the 6 dealerships have done in years past is to donate the Tundra to a fire department or a police department, some public entity, and this year they decided to give it back to the fans. So during the course of the summer, fans have been registering their name at the dealerships. Jesse Jackson has bought 2 Toyotas this summer because he's gone into every dealership that he ever passed.
He just couldn't say no.
Just couldn't say no. In fact, Ann kicked him out of the house and he's living in one of those cars. Unfortunately, Jesse's name wasn't pulled. That's a bouncer past Tejada into left. A leadoff hit for Eugenio Suarez. So already the Reds had 3 hits in the first. Here's the 4th hit for the Reds. The last time Matz pitched against the Reds, he allowed only 3 hits in 7 2/3. And Chris, we haven't seen him this year in person, but just look at, and remember he was on the disabled list with a pulled muscle in his side, on that left side underneath the arm. And the one difference I see, I mean, he's not breaking off his breaking ball as effectively as he did when we saw him.
Well, he's not throwing it as hard. The breaking ball that we've seen tonight has been a little softer breaking ball. He's thrown 1 changeup to my measure. That's a pitch that's going to register in the low to mid 80s. But you keep reminding yourself when you have a young man who's only 22 years old, that's, you know, how high do you set the bar of expectation? Now he joins a pitching staff that's loaded with young, excellent pitchers. Like Noah Syndergaard. The Reds will see him tomorrow. They'll see Matt Harvey, of course, the day after that.
Yeah, and you go through a pulled muscle on your throwing side. Are you ready to let it go 110%?
Well, I don't know if they would even consider bringing this kid up if he wasn't ready to go at 100%. Now they say he had a partial tear of his lat. And that was the lat strain is what Johnny Cueto had a couple of times during his tenure here with the Reds. It's the back of your shoulder, lower part, down towards your back area. And I don't know how he was able to come back, but I guess every injury is different and everybody recovers differently.
Hanging in there is Pena in the 8th spot in at 281. Still looking for his first homer of the year with 18 knocked in. Didn't go on the disabled list, but was out for a little over a week with a strained hamstring. You see Suarez next to Reds first base coach Billy Hatcher. As usual, Jim Riggleman in the third base coach's box for Cincinnati. No balls, 2 strikes to Brian Pena. The staff of Mets, I mean, it is a staff of potential aces. You mentioned Syndergaard, Matt Harvey, another lively arm in the upper 90s. Jacob deGrom, the former Rookie of the Year, has been brilliant at times. There goes the runner. That's a bouncer. Knocked down. Will he be able to get it to first in time? And he does. Good job by Tejada. He hung with it. They probably would have gotten the force at second had not Brian Price put Eugenio Suarez in motion. So the Reds get a runner to second with 1 out.
Well, Tejada makes something out of nothing right here because he goes a long way to get it. He knows immediately there's no way you're going to second base because he knew the runner was off with the pitch. And unfortunately for the Mets, it was Brian Pena running. And they end up getting an out of that.
Here's Josh Smith. Josh comes in with 2 hits this year in his brief time in the major leagues, looking for his first run batted in here. And Matz jumps ahead 0-2. Jason Bourgeois, the leadoff hitter, on deck. In the corner, a call, strike 3. 4th strikeout for Matz. 2 away, back to the top of the order. All right, GS bringing the energy numbers for the night. Most consecutive starts to start a career with 5 innings pitched, 2 runs or less, and no losses since 1969. Not a bad list to be on, huh?
Well, if you're on there with Fernando Valenzuela and Tom Browning, you're doing something right.
GS bringing the energy stat of the night.
Well, you mentioned that Matt's got a slow start to his professional career. You know, he's drafted out of high school, but he had an elbow problem. The Mets got him 2009 in the 2nd round. And he was supposed to obviously go pitch right away, and he didn't do that. It took 2 years because he had Tommy John surgery in 2010. It took really 2 years for him to recover. Had a breakout season last year between A-ball and AA. Went 10-9 with a really good earned run average. And this year promoted to Las Vegas, where he was reunited with his old pitching coach and former Red Frank Viola. You got to figure that left-hander helped him a little bit.
Foul down the first base line.
If nothing else, you figure Matt's will learn a changeup.
I was just going to say the same thing. Johnny Padres taught Frankie V how to throw the changeup, and boy, he had one of the best. Man.
And when you pitch in Las Vegas, you learn really how to pitch because it is a hitter's paradise. The air is thin, the ball really flies, the ballpark's not all that big. And the Reds found that out when they played an exhibition game in spring training there a couple of years ago, that it's a very difficult place to pitch. So if you're really measuring a pitcher, and the way he dominated that league, he really earned his call up when they called him up back in June.
Ahead again, no balls, 2 strikes. Bourgeois hanging in there, just trying to find a way to get a ball into the outfield. Jason struck out first time up. When the Reds faced Matz in June back in New York at Citi Field, he pitched the second game of that doubleheader. It really wasn't a doubleheader. It was a suspended game from the night before with the rain. Then he had to sit around. He didn't know when he would start. He ended up starting about 3 hours after the normal start of the game as they finished the suspended game. Swing and a miss. He picks up 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. He still trails 1-0. Here we go to the third. Matz will lead it off. On MLB.TV Premium, watch every out-of-market game live on more than 400 supported devices, real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, widget, and more. Visit MLB.com TV today. Great to have you with us. George Grant, Chris Welch, Jim Day. JD will be by shortly with his first update of the night. As Josh Smith goes to work in the third, he'll face Steven Matz. Matz had 4 runs batted in and 3 hits in his debut against the Reds. That start in New York. He comes into tonight with only 1 more run batted in for the remainder of the year. 2 months later, 5 runs batted in on the season, overall at .250. No balls, 2 strikes. Slaps at it. Suarez, quick flip. Not going to be in time. Good athlete. He hustled down the line and beats it out for a base hit.
You know, it just looked like the route that Suarez took to that ball allowed Matz more time to get down the line. Suarez kind of surrounded that ball a little bit when maybe if he knew that Matz would run like he did, maybe he figured a pitcher's not going to run at all. That he didn't have nearly as much time as he thought he did. He may have gone with a different direction to get that ground ball.
So runner at first, the leadoff runner on here in the third, and here's Granderson, fly to left first time up.
That's really a ground ball. And I mean, if you're standing in the infield, if you're the pitcher, you're thinking, well, good, that's the first out of the inning.
Missing on the corner, 2-0. That's a strike. I guess if you looked at, other than Cespedes' big numbers, the other numbers that jump off at you are Granderson and his walks. A guy that early in his career struck out a lot, didn't walk a lot. He's got 77 free passes already this year. Since moving to the leadoff spot. He's gotten comfortable there, and there was a period of time, in fact, when the Reds played the Mets, he was on fire, and you can see his numbers on that in that series he was, and right prior to it he was. He carried the Mets during the month of June when they really struggled offensively. That's a strike.
Well, there was a time when he led the league in the American League in strikeouts. That was when he was at the Detroit Tigers. He's also led the league in runs batted in. He did that when he was with the New York Yankees. Now kind of having a renaissance of sorts with a ball club that no one really saw this coming earlier in the year. I mean, at one time, as I mentioned earlier, they were 4.5 games out of first place, and they went from there on July the 5th all the way to 9.5 games up in sometime in September.
And now a magic number of 4 to clinch. That's hit hard. Votto taps the bag, throws it to second, but he pulls the shortstop Suarez off the bag. Great play by Joey to get it and tap the bag. So they get the out. Votto taps the bag, but off balance, his throw goes wide to second.
Well, he makes a nice grab right there, but he didn't really have to throw it off balance. He had plenty of time with the pitcher running there to set his feet and throw, and a sidearm throw just got him off the bag. Now at the very end of this, Suarez tries to hold the ball and hide it, and they were going to see if Matz would fall for the old hidden ball trick, and somebody called timeout and ruined the whole plan.
Robin Roberts ever have you do that?
No.
Did Ron Roth ever have you do that?
We've seen it before.
Smith from the stretch with now a runner on second, and here's David Wright. And you saw the hustle by Matz again. A young guy that loves to hit and loves to play. So Matz out at second, 1 away, and Wright, who struck out first time up at the plate, strike 1 to him. Coaches for the Mets down at third, Tim Tuffle, a former Met, veteran second baseman, in the third base coach's box. And Tommy Goodwin over at first. He could motor a little bit, couldn't he?
Yes, he could.
He controls the running game for this Mets team, much like Billy Hatcher does for the Reds. Hop back and out of play. One and two. Left center field. That's heading to the alley. That's going to get Matz home easily to tie the game. Rounding first, going to second. 14th run batted in for David Wright, who cruises in with a 2-base hit.
Well, that's a shame that it drives a run in, really, because David Wright's going to get his hits. There's no question about it. But you have to make the plays ahead of the guys in the middle of the order. And neither of the plays that the Reds had in the first 2 batters of the inning ended up as errors. But they were both really non-plays. Suarez played that ground ball by the pitcher into a base hit, and Votto played his way he fielded the ground ball by the second hitter, Granderson, into the ability for Matz to get into scoring position.
There's a shot into right. Here comes Bruce charging. They're going to hold the runner at third, and it's a perfect throw to the plate. Cut by Votto, but it was heading right towards Brian Pena, and a good decision by the third base coach, Tim Tuffle. Aggressive charge by Bruce, and he came up firing.
Well, Jay Bruce does everything right there. He charges the ball. They make sure he has it. He throws the ball overhand with no tail, and he hits a cutoff man. I mean, not a spectacular play, but just a rock-solid fundamental play.
So Wright goes to third.
You're not going to have a guy thrown out the plate in front of this guy coming to the plate.
I don't
That's
think
the other
so.
reason why Teufel held up David Wright at third base.
Murphy singled first and third, and here's Cespedes, who flied to left center field to the warning track first time up. Miss it inside for ball one. That's a little low. Cespedes originally signed back in 2012 by the Oakland A's after spending 8 seasons playing for a team in Cuba and hit nearly 200 home runs in those 8 years. And he's continued that power in his major league years as well. High in the air to center field, but it's going to stay in the park. But with one out, it's going to get a run in. So Cespedes continues to produce runs. The sacrifice fly, his 43rd run batted in as a Met, and it gives the Mets a 2-1 lead. So 2 at bats, and he just missed 2, Chris.
Yeah, he really did. The ball sounded great coming off his bat, but he just got under it. This is a ball club, the Mets, that is really, I mean, let's speak relatively speaking here. The Reds are also in need of a win, but the Mets are also. They've lost 6 out of the last 8, even though they are still up 6.5 in the standings. They're almost guaranteed to go. I mean, it would take a catastrophic collapse for them not to make the playoffs as the division champion.
Here's a looping bouncer, go all the way to the warning track, bounces against the wall. They're going to send the runner in from third. Here comes the throw to the plate. It's going to be not in time. A good slide. Oh, he missed the plate and now goes back and touches it. Murphy missed the plate first time around, came back and touched it, and now it's 3-1, Reds with the lead as Lucas Duda chimes in with a run-scoring base hit, a double into the corner.
Now, Duda had a long at bat his first time up. He walked finally on that at bat. This time he jumps on the first pitch he sees. Here's Murphy coming around second. He's going to be waved in by Teufel, the third base coach. The throw by the cutoff man comes in, and the umpire calls him safe. So evidently he already touched the plate. The umpire, if you go into the plate area and you don't touch the plate, the umpire will give a non-sign. But once you see him say safe, that means in his estimation the runner tagged the plate. And they have put 3 spot on the board here against Josh Smith.
Jeff Pico coming out to give him a little checkup from the neck up, as here in the inning it all started with an infield hit by Matz. I mean, go back to it, Chris. If Matz is thrown out on that play, you're out of the inning without any run scoring. Instead of a sacrifice fly, well, you'd have a runner at second, and sacrifice fly would have ended the inning. Here's d'Arnaud, struck out first time up. Pop up behind second. Who's going to take charge? Phillips will. Got it. But 7 come to the plate for the Mets in the third. They score 3 and lead it 3-1.
Clemente. Roberto Clemente Day recognizes one player from each club who best represents the game of baseball through positive contributions on and off the field. As we've told you prior, this year's nominee is J.J. Hoover, Reds reliever. You can visit ChevyBaseball.com to learn more. Prior to the game, there was a presentation on the field as the Reds representative. $7,500 was donated to the Children's Home of Northern Kentucky in J.J. Hoover's name. Also got a plaque or a trophy there. And knowing J.J. Hoover, I can guarantee you that that's one thing he didn't want to do, is be recognized, because I know he does not do it for recognition. This guy has been very, very involved in the community, particularly with Children's Hospital, and well deserved your Reds Roberto Clemente Award finalist.
Stand-up guy, huh? And congratulations to JJ and all the 30 players. On the Mets, Curtis Granderson is the Roberto Clemente representative, and another stand-up guy will be honored tomorrow as the Reds representative in the 30 honorees for the Marvin Miller Award for community involvement, and that's Skip Schumacher, another first-class guy, Chris. Both of them.
Well, both of them, no doubt about it.
There's Skip next to Todd Frazier. Here's Ivan De Jesus, singled in the first. Reds had 3 straight singles. Looked like they had a pretty big inning cooking, but Matt struck out Frazier and Bruce to end the inning. The Reds got a run out of it, and that's all.
De Jesus has kind of been an interesting case since he's come to the major leagues. You put him right there with Chris Negron as an extra infielder / outfielder. Here he is starting in left field tonight. And, you know, it's what you make of your opportunities. And he has really done a nice job to, I think, endear himself to the coaching staff, to fans that have watched him play, to opposing pitchers. He's willing to hit the ball to right field, so you don't see any shifts on when you see De Jesus up there. Those are nice numbers right there for a guy that doesn't get regular playing time.
One ball, 2 strikes. De Jesus hitting second tonight. Votto and Phillips due to follow here in the bottom of the 3rd. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Mets, a run, 4 hits for the Reds. Popped up right side. Given Chase his due to, he'll run out of room. This is game 1 of the 4-game series tomorrow. Join us at 6:30 for Reds Live before Anthony DeSclafani will go for his 10th win of the year against Noah Syndergaard. And Syndergaard's been the real deal since coming up. Big time arm, big time fastball. Into right center field. Cespedes there. 1 away. On Saturday it'll be John Lamb against Matt Harvey. And if you haven't seen Harvey pitch, he is a treat too. And Chris, John Lamb pitched about as good as you could pitch in St. Louis, didn't he?
Well, he did. I mean, in a full house, in a ball club that's been rolling right along with the St. Louis Cardinals, he threw the ball extremely well. I think Lamb is a young man that has made tremendous strides, really, since I've seen him here, since he made his major league debut against the Dodgers earlier in the year. I think he's got a real chance to be one of the 5 starters in the rotation next year.
Sunday, the final of the series. Kivas Sampson goes against Jacob deGrom, who'll go for his 14th victory. A looping shot off the glove of the second baseman Murphy. Votto will turn first and hold there for his 2nd hit of the night. A base hit by Joey's 2 for 2.
Now, Daniel Murphy thought he had this one. It was a little bit of a humpback line drive, and what the question is, would it come down enough for Murphy to get it leaping? And right off the top of his glove, he went as high as he possibly could.
So 1 out, 1 on for the Reds. Votto on first, and here comes Brandon Phillips, who single produced a run. Multi-hit games and another number for him, leading the Reds, and only 1 behind D. Gordon for the lead. 53 to Gordon's 54. Going into play tonight, by the way, D. Gordon, who spent some time on the disabled list in his own right, trails Billy Hamilton for stolen bases in the National League. There's a bouncer down to third. It is foul. Billy, of course, season is over with 57 stolen base. He'll undergo surgery tomorrow. Gordon is only 4 behind, so I mean, barring anything unforeseen, probably D. Gordon will end up being the National League stolen base leader, because Billy's not going to get a chance. And the Reds had thought about keeping him active and using him as a base runner, but Chris, makes a heck of a lot more sense to get that shoulder cleaned out and be ready for spring training.
Yeah, he's going to feel a whole lot different tomorrow at this time than he does right now.
JD, I know you've been talking to Billy. We all have. I know he's looking forward to getting it done, and he's looking forward to being 100% next year, huh?
Oh, no question about that. They did say today, though, that they moved the surgery back to Tuesday because he is going to attend his sister's wedding. I think Billy thought that he could have surgery on Friday and then go to the wedding, but he's going to be in a little bit of a brace. So they pushed it back to Tuesday so he can go to his sister's wedding, which really won't affect much of his rehab. But he is excited to get it done and get going in what he says is the most important offseason of his career.
Yeah, the one thing that really throws a wrench into it, I know he had talked about taking a couple of weeks off and then spending time reworking his swing and trying to be a better offensive player next year, and certainly this is going to short circuit that, for at least for the time being.
Well, he can bunt before he can swing.
Yep.
So there may be a little silver lining there.
Here's Frazier, struck out first time up.
I got a trivia question for you, George. In the ballpark tonight, we have the winners of the last 3 home run derbies, the All-Star home run derbies. You know who they are?
Cespedes, Frazier, Welsh,
and Cespedes. Trick question, but I knew you were getting eventually.
Frazier, soft line drive. He's retired. Reds strand a runner. They've stranded 3, trailing 3-1. Looking at the National League East, the Mets started the day 6.5 games ahead of Washington, but earlier today the Washington Nationals were losers to Baltimore. The Mets now have a 7-game lead, and their magic number went from 5 down to 4 at the start of play tonight. Washington, their only chance to make it will be as a winner in the Eastern Division. The Mets, and Chris, this is like the old days. As you look at our DirecTV standings, you know, before there were even playoffs, you know, every once in a while you knew who would win the National League or the American League, and like a month before it would be the Yankees against the Dodgers or whoever. And it's a similar story right now between the Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're both heading towards a showdown. So number one, I think each team would certainly like to have home field advantage. There's no doubt about that. Here's Conforto stepping in. Michael single to left first time up. Starting play today, the Mets 85-67. The Dodgers, who won their game this afternoon, are now 86-65. So the Dodgers have 2 games in the loss column already in hand. And talking to Terry Collins before the game, yes, I mean, that's one of the reasons why he's kept the foot on the gas pedal, you know, using his bullpen maybe a little more than he wanted to, trying to win games so that they could get home field advantage, especially when you're talking about New York to LA. You're talking about a lot of travel. So those 3 games at home in a 5-game series would mean a lot. 1 ball, 2 strikes. On the corner for a strike. Conforto didn't like the call. That is strikeout number 3 for Josh.
Well, you're getting the idea why Josh Smith is in the major leagues, because if you make this type of pitch at any level, you're going to get hitters out. I mean, look at the location. He had good arm action on it. He explodes towards home plate, throws his glove arm up there, and then drops that little breaking ball right on the corner.
Here's Ruben Tejada, bounced to third first time up. You can see by that replay you just saw there, he gives you that spiked curveball, the knuckle curve. The difference and the benefits and the detractions for using it?
Well, I don't know if there's a detraction. You know, those breaking balls are all field pitches, but what it does is it gets your index finger out of the way, because your power finger on a curveball, or really a slider for that, but especially a curveball, is your middle finger. That's the one you really press as hard as you can right on the seam. And a lot of times if you press with 2 fingers, your index and your middle finger, you don't get the kind of rotation you would if you just get that index finger out of the way. That's why a lot of people like to spike it.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And by spiking, you mean just kind of digging your index finger nail into the ball so that your finger kind of pops up in the air.
Other side of it, I mean, with the benefit of replay today, you can obviously see the spiked index finger, but as a hitter and in terms of tipping pitches, is it easier to pick up that breaking ball if you're spiking it?
Not unless you're showing it before you actually release it.
Another good one. Back-to-back strikeouts, 4 strikeouts for Josh, 2 away, and here comes Matz.
Well, he probably took the mound at the beginning of the 4th inning here and said, you know, I gave up 3 runs last inning, whether I deserved them or not. They're on the board right now. I've got the bottom of the order coming up, 7, 8, and 9. I've got to retire these first 2 guys and give myself a chance to have a nice, easy 1, 2, 3 inning like I did to start the game off.
I remember talking to Jack Nicklaus once about a golf tournament, and he said he dissected every round into 3 holes at a time, mentally, physically, and to attack it 3 holes at a time. As a pitcher, can you do that too?
I would never do it as a golfer. I hate to think about 3 double bogeys in a row. But as a pitcher, no, I think yeah, in pitch sequence you can, and you bring up a good point. We'll talk about it.
Easy inning for Josh. Matz will have to go back to the mound when we return. Jay Bruce to the plate. 3-1 Mets.
season. Another good one. Get view level tickets to see the Reds and Mets this weekend for just $10. Any game Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, $10. Go to reds.com/FSOhio and use the code FSOhio to get your tickets right now. I'm Jim Day. Let's give you an update on Devin Mesoraco. The Reds have really missed him throughout the season and looking forward to 2016. And so far, after hip surgery, there have been no setbacks. In fact, the news has been very good as you look at Devin sitting in the dugout right now. He's begun light agility drills and said today that he expects to start hitting and throwing on November 1st, which means that by spring training he'll be going through full catcher routines, and he says everyone has told him he will be full go at the beginning of spring training. So looking forward to that, and boy, if it's a healthy Devin Mesoraco and he can catch the boatload of the games, what a boost it will be next season.
Well, let's let both you guys ring in on this one. You know, you start spring training next year, Chris. That's a big decision and a key factor for the Reds, because if Mesoraco cannot catch, then what do you do? You move him to left field. It's important for him to be behind the plate with his power. Huh?
I don't think there's any question that they're counting on Devin to be their everyday catcher.
Jay Bruce, rocket to right, but right there is Granderson and one away. Bruce 0 for 2. JD, I know that when you talk to Mesoraco, he's intent on being back behind the plate next year.
He is, and the Reds have said that he is their everyday catcher if he is healthy. But Brian Price has said that in spring training he will get some fly balls and perhaps some playing time in left field, that they want to have that option in case something goes awry with that hip. He's fine running. It has been the squatting portion of catching that hurt him with that hip. So to get his bat in the lineup, they will have a second position for him, and that will be left field, at least what they're saying right now.
Well, even if he is healthy, it makes sense to not give him a full load behind the plate, at least to start next year. Maybe once a week, put him out in left field.
Well, you know, that part of it will take care of itself, whether he can play every day or not. What the Reds have to decide before that, though, before they ever see Devin Mesoraco take the field in spring training, is what they may do with one of their catchers who's a free agent this year. That's Brian Pena. So do you bring him back? He's had a pretty good year. If you have Mesoraco ready to catch every day next year, do you need Pena and Tucker Barnhart and Devin Mesoraco? So those are the kind of iffy decisions that you have to come to just based on the knowledge of what you have right now. And it's not an easy decision to make, because Brian Pena is going to be looking for a little bit of a free agent money, and you don't know whether you can afford it or not.
How important is it to have a veteran catcher with a young pitching staff next year?
Well, they'll be older next year. That's one good thing. And Mesoraco's a veteran catcher in that respect. And by next year, so will Tucker Barnhart.
Tucker's had an unexpected opportunity to catch a lot more this year than he expected when the year started, and has really done an outstanding job of maturing here in his second year. There's Brian. Pena bounced to short first time up. Josh Schmidt, the pitcher, on deck. Giddy up at 95 with a tail on it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He's got movement, doesn't he?
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he was a very highly sought draft pick out of high school that, as you said, were sidetracked with an arm injury, or else he may have been to the major leagues before now. I mean, not a huge guy. I mean, as far as his height, he's 6'2". He's about 200 pounds, but he throws the ball like he's about 6'6".
2-2. And you knew it. That's 8 strikeouts for Steven Matz. And through 4, He's got a 3-1 lead. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is being brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer, find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on United States News and Report's Best Children's Hospital. Hey, don't forget the Reds at Fox Sports Ohio would like to wish a happy birthday to a couple of longtime Reds fans. World War II vet and Purple Heart recipient Frank Cavich of Louisville celebrating his 90th birthday. That was yesterday. And today another World War II vet and retired first responder from Columbus, Bud Saylor. He's celebrating number 88 today. So happy birthday, Frank. Happy birthday, Bud. And by the way, we want to send our birthday wishes out to Tommy Lasorda, who turned 88 this week too.
Hope he's doing well. He was the guy that most Reds fans who are old enough to remember Tommy managing the Dodgers just love to hate.
Oh, yeah. And you talk about going to Cooperstown and the 30 years I was able to do the ceremonies. You listen to all those speeches, and one of the most entertaining stories, and Tommy's told it a number of times, was when the Dodgers are playing John McNamara and the Reds, and he comes to town and goes to church at St. Peter and Chains right across town here, where we go to church every Sunday morning. And here's Granderson, and Mass is over. John McNamara goes up and lights a candle, and Tommy Lasorda, Johnny Mac thought Lasorda went up to light a candle. They're exchanging lineup cards at the ballpark that night, and Lasorda said to Johnny Mac, said, "Johnny, I saw you at church today." He said, "Yep." He said, "I saw you light the candle." He said, "Yep." He said, "And I saw you walk up there, and then I left." He said, "Well, you know what I did? I blew out your candle." That was Tommy.
You know, no matter how many times you've heard him tell that story,
right.
and it's probably been at least 24 times on your part, you still laugh.
You're right. By the way, speaking of Hall of Famers, and I know, Chris, you were on the air last night, and it touched all of us. We had a moment of silence here at the ballpark today in honor of Yogi Berra, passed away at the age of 90. What a special time. I mean, you came to spring training as a Yankee, and anyone who ever wore the Yankee uniform had a special knowledge of Yogi, but even more importantly than that, anyone who loved the game appreciated Yogi Berra. We're so fortunate here. We idolize Joe Nuxhall for what he meant on the field, and even more importantly for what he meant off the field. And Yogi was very similar. Everybody idolized him.
Bigger than life. Yogi, when he played and when he coached, when he managed.
Big swing from David Wright for a strike.
And an all-around funny guy without really trying to be funny.
I mean, we all know all the stories, you know, when you come to a fork in the road, take it, you know, and it gets dark here early and all of that stuff. But I mean, it really was true.
Well, I mean, he actually, I remember, George, I think it was the first day I ever met him. I was in spring training with the New York Yankees the year after they won the World Series, and he was one of the coaches, and he came out to the outfield where a bunch of pitchers were shagging, you know, and better, you know, good thing they don't drop a bomb out here, you'd all be dead, you know, you're standing so close together. And so we got talking about where we ought to go to eat, and somebody mentioned, you know, one of the famous restaurants down the strip there in Fort Lauderdale where the Yankees used to train. And Yogi, I mean, as solemn as can be, said, well, nobody ever goes there. It's too crowded.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I mean, we all got.
It took me a little while to get it, and
yeah.
But you know, at that time we didn't think it was just one of his yogiisms. It's just the way he talked.
That's a call, strike 3 to David Wright. Wright 1 for 3, a double to left. I mean, make a list of them. No one goes there anymore. Chris, you're right. It's too crowded. You could observe a lot by watching. A nickel is not worth a dime anymore. And, of course, the one that Joe Garagiola always told when he gave him directions to the house, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. It ain't over till it's over. It's deja vu all over again, and that's a special one. Baseball is 90% mental. The other half is physical. Here's Murphy. I mean, I got all those in the years that I spent time at the Hall of Fame. I cherished Friday night dinner, which was an informal dinner. I would sit with Yogi and Carmen, his wife, Phil Rizzuto, his wife Cora, and Whitey Ford and his wife Joan. The three of them, you know, married for 60. They, Whitey and Joan, married 60 years. Same thing with Scooter and Cora. And before Carmen passed away a couple of years ago, Yogi and Carmen were married for 65. And it was like being in their kitchen, the stories that they would tell. And there's one story from Cooper's. Everybody remembers Bill Mazeroski's speech when he went to get up and give his speech, and he started to cry 30 seconds into the speech and couldn't continue. And the ceremonies are over. And at the end of the ceremonies, two guys came up to Maz. One was Sparky Anderson. Only Sparky, in his way, he came up to him very quietly and gave him a big hug. He said that was beautiful. And that's Sparky. He waited till everybody left and came up to him and gave him a big hug. The other guy was Yogi. And I'm standing next to Yogi. He comes up to Bill Mazeroski. And, of course, he and Maz, they went back and forth for years, because it was Mazeroski that hit the home run in 1960 over Yogi's head at Forbes Field for the game-winning homer. And Yogi comes up. He says, Maz, that was great. That's the best speech I never heard. And Maz looked at him. I looked at him. And it's real. It's real. The best speech I never heard. And when Bucky Dent was a third base coach in St. Louis in spring training, Yogi came by, and Bucky and his wife Marianne found out that day that Marianne was pregnant with twins. And he said, Yogi, I found out Marianne's going to have twins. And Yogi says to him, oh, yeah? She's going to have them both at the same time? It's true. I mean,
all of these are true.
True. I tell you, the one thing that you can be thankful for, that Carmen and Yogi are together again. And it's so great to watch Johnny bench with Yogi all the time, because Johnny really had such a wonderful relationship with Yogi, the two greatest catchers of all time. That's a line shot into right, a base hit. And Johnny always paid homage to Yogi because of the man that he was. I mean, when Yogi retired, we forget, he owned all the power records for catchers. You know, more home runs.
5 feet 7 inches tall.
Yep. I talked to Ralph Branke yesterday after I got the news, and Ralph said, and Ralph pitched for the Dodgers, of course. He said, you know, everybody forgets that Yogi, yes, he was a home run hitter, over 300 home runs, and, you know, 19 years, 18 All-Star appearances, you know, 14 pennants, 10 World Series, 3 MVPs. He said everybody forgets he was an outstanding defensive catcher. And he did the same thing Johnny Bench did. He ran the pitching staff. Lefty Gomez talked about the time that Yogi was catching, and Casey came out after the first 3 pitches of the game were hit for line shots into the outfield for base hits. That's fouled off by Cespedes with Murphy on first. And Casey says to Yogi, he said, Yogi, what does he got? He says, I don't know. I haven't caught one yet. Only Yogi. What a special person.
So that's where that story originated.
Yep.
I heard that over and over again. And,
yeah.
you know,
Lefty was a comic in his own right. That misses wide.
Well, I got to know Dale Bear when he played with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He told me a story, a legitimate story. He said, one day, Michael, when we were kids, my mom took us to the show to see Dr. Shivago. She called Yogi and said, hey. He said, what'd you do today? He goes, oh, I took the kids to see Dr. Shivago. And he said, now what's wrong with them?
There's a bullet in the center by Cespedes. There's 2 on.
Hard to crack a punchline when you're giving up a line drive.
Yeah, I know. Especially if you're on a mound.
But it's Yogi's a very special man. He's one of these baseball characters / men, George, who people who are young now have heard of Yogi Berra, and our age have, of course, known or have heard of Yogi Berra and know all the stories about him.
There are those numbers that we talked about. You know, he and Roy Campanella, each 3-time MVPs as catchers. And again, it was so great in Cooperstown to watch Johnny Bench and Yogi. They developed such a tremendous friendship and great respect for each other. And one other quick story: when Yogi, Whitey Ford, and Scooter were offered, and remember in the late 40s or early 50s, there was a Mexican league that had a lot of money, and they were trying to lure American players to go there. Whitey had talked to a representative, and they were going to give each of them $20,000 to jump to the Mexican league. Here's Duda, who doubled in a run last time up. Well, the 3 of them got together. They're going to take their wives out to dinner to break this to them. They go out to dinner, and Whitey speaks for the 3 of them. And the 3 women said, you guys want to go to Mexico? You go ahead. But you're going alone, and you're the 3 dumbest people in America if you do that. And I always ask Carmen, I said, did you guys get an inkling that they had cooked something up? And Carmen always had a twinkle in her eye, and they knew. The 3 women knew. But imagine if that had happened, if they had taken the $20,000 bonus, plus they were going to give them a home down there. If that had happened, they would have been banned from baseball. And the Yankees never would have had their dynasty. And they can thank their 3 wives for the fact they never did go to Mexico. And we can thank them, too. 3 great couples. 3 special ball players, too. And I think as Joe Torre said, and Johnny said it, too, yesterday, that he may not be with us any longer, but Yogi left something special with the game of baseball and with all of us. Just a special person, very much the same way that we honor Joe Nuxhall here in Cincinnati. Action in the bullpen. Michael Lorenzen on the right. Contreras on the left. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runners first and second with 2 away. Josh Smith trying to get out of the jam. That's a little low.
Well, he had retired 6 batters in a row for the last batter of the 3rd inning. He went 1, 2, 3 in the 4th and got the first out in this inning with no problem. And now a couple of back-to-back base hits, and the Mets have a scoring opportunity again. 2-2 count. This is where you get a decision.
Hit hard, foul. One last Yogi story involving the Reds. Gordy Coleman, of course, who we broadcast with way back when we both started. Gordy, of course, big first baseman for the Reds, and they face off against each other in the World Series in 1960. And then Yogi came back for a brief period of time after he left, and when Casey Stengel was managing the Mets, and he goes down to first base. I don't remember whether he got a base hit or he walked or whatever, but he's down at first base, and he said to Gordy, he says, I remember you, but you look bigger than you used to be. And of course Gordy was big. He was 6'3", around there, 250 maybe. You look bigger than you used to be. Another prince of a guy, Gordy Coleman, huh? 2 balls, 2 strikes. Smith battling for his life here in the 5th. Josh trying to get out of this jam. Sawed him off, fouled on the first base line. The pitch count mounting, Chris, over 90, so you figure either way this is his last inning.
Well, it might be. I'm not really sure that he's on a pitch limit that would be below 100 pitches overall, but he needs to make a pitch right here. This happens sometimes when you don't have a big arm and an overpowering pitch, a fastball or swing and miss breaking ball. The dude is really being a very persistent customer at the plate. He's fouled off just about every good pitch that Josh Smith has thrown in there.
94th pitch of the game, 8th pitch of the at bat. In the air. Is Bruce going to get there? He will. He battled back. He claps his hands together as he gets out of the jam, strands the runner. Reds still trail it 3-1. Josh Smith due to lead it off. Your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Ramon Cabrera, who will pinch hit for Josh Smith to lead off the bottom of the 5th inning. For Josh, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 7 hits and 3 runs, all of them earned for Josh. There's a high hopper over right to third baseman, and the little catcher who's wielded a pretty good bat, Chris, gets another base hit.
Well, he had 4 in one night. The one night he played and celebrated a tremendous day at the plate with 4 hits in San Francisco. I think it's a high hopper right there. Now you turn the lineup over. Maybe the Reds can figure out a way to get something going against Steven Matz. He has pretty much been dominating the Reds hitters. He's had 8 strikeouts in 8+ innings.
So from the stretch is Matz. Here's Jason Bourgeois, the leadoff hitter, who struck out twice.
Matz pitched his last start. It was against the New York Yankees. And he struggled early on. He gave up 4 hits and a run in the first couple of innings. He got his pitch count up to almost 45 in the first 2. Then he settled down and pitched a nice ball game from then on.
(102 pitches in that last start. Right now he's sitting on 78 pitches here in the 5th inning.
I mean, a kid from Stony Brook, New York, to pitch in that game. The Mets and Yankees. I mean, it had playoff, percussions anyway.
Short, quick swing, line to center. Cespedes, great play. He had a great first step to close on that and robs Bourgeois of a potential base hit.
He also has a gun in the outfield. I mean, as good an arm as you will see. And he was thinking about throwing to first base to see if he couldn't pick the pocket of Ramon Cabrera, who was gone about halfway to second.
He brings swagger at the plate and swagger in the outfield, and also he brings swagger to the clubhouse. That's something that the Mets really did not have till he came to town.
A lot of teams that don't win don't have swagger. I mean, where's the swagger on the part of the Reds? I mean, when you lose a lot of games, there's no swagger. You're going out there to play the game, whereas, if you're a team that is in the upper part of the division and you're going for a championship, then you have a little swagger. Your expectations are different, so you walk differently, you act differently. And it becomes no more evident than at this time of the year.
Here's Ivan de Jesus, single to center, fly to center. That's a ball past the outstretched effort of Murphy, and the Reds will have 2 on with 1 out. And the big guy's coming up. Here's Joey, who's 2 for 2. A base hit to center and a bloop over the head of Murphy. Chris, you've been there all season long, and the numbers for Joey simply amazing. The 100th game this season where he's reached safely 2 or more times. He did it 105 times in 2013, and that's the most since at least 1914. Joel Luckup, you stayed up late last night figuring that one out, huh? Good job, Lucky. Thanks. Good to be with you. In between doing homework with your kids, you're online, huh? Well, who does more of the homework, Lucky? You do. Okay. Math? Math, you. Okay. One ball to Votto. Pops him up. It looks like it'll be playable.
This is unheard of.
Not often does he pop a ball up to the infield, like once every 2 years.
I mean, well, we do have a blood moon coming on Monday. And that's about as often as you see Votto pop a ball up into the infield. It was not an infield fly because it was in foul territory, but I don't know if he's ever hit an infield fly in his career. He just got out in front of that pitch, was fooled like he rarely ever is, and with a couple of runners on base and a chance to do some damage, it'll now go on the shoulders of Brandon Phillips.
He can't believe it himself. So now 2 on, but 2 out, and here's Brandon. Singled in the Reds' first run back in the first. And struck out second time up. That's hit hard, passed right at third. The runner rounds third, coming to the plate. That's the second run for the Reds. A base hit by Phillips. 2 runs batted in, now 68 on the season. The Reds are within 1.
Well, very quietly, Brandon Phillips is climbing up that ladder right towards the 300 mark. It would be his high water mark if he could end the season that way. And he just picks the first pitch he sees and rips a sharp line drive into left field. A couple of hits for Brandon tonight. And that's going to rustle him around in the Mets bullpen a little bit.
Well, the Reds are 1 swing away from turning this game around. Frazier struck out, lined out, sitting on 35 homers. A big swing here. There's a shot to left, going back at the warning track against the wall. It'll be hauled in by Conforto. 10 feet short is number 21, and the Reds leave 2 stranded in the 4th, but they get a run in. They trail it 3-2.
Is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Is that special, Chris? We both love our pooches, huh? And there's about 300 of them here tonight on the final bark in the park of the season, the fourth one. Man's best friend, women's best friend, and baseball's best friend. How are your two guys doing?
My guys are great, George. They actually went to the doggy spa today, and they were all, I'm sure decorated up, ready to come down here, but they just couldn't work it out.
Now maybe you can help me. We had 2 German Shepherds, all dog pound dogs, and a terrier mix. And the terrier mix, she's had some hot spots because it's been so hot this summer. Have you experienced that? I mean, where they scratch and scratch and scratch?
Well, here, I'll give you some good advice. Take care of those spots for the next month, and then things will be a lot better until probably next May.
Thanks.
Because you live in Connecticut. And it's bound to be
Wait
nice
for the cold weather.
That's right. Do not take her to Puerto Rico with you.
No, thank you. Here's Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher, to lead off the 6th. d'Arnaud struck out, popped up 0 for 2.
D'Arnaud's got a real interesting setup, and that is Michael Lorenzen on the mound for the Reds, taking over for Josh Smith. He holds a bat almost straight out from his chest, and then as he brings it back in, he kind of loops it to get his timing in. And I don't know how for the life of me against a hard thrower that he could ever get that timing right, although he has some pretty good numbers and has good success behind the plate for the Mets.
Josh Smith, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, and a walk. Here's Michael. We talk about pitch limits, inning limits that the Mets are dealing with. The Reds are doing the same thing with their young pitchers. And Michael will work some out of the bullpen. Brian Price has said that he still may get a start before the year is over, but they're just limiting his total number of appearances and innings as we head to the end of the season.
Well, when's the last time you saw Michael Lorenzen throwing 97 miles an hour? Maybe spring training. Maybe one of his first couple starts. But it's been a downward slide for Lorenzen, and not because he's not in shape. I mean, this guy's in as good a shape as anybody in baseball, as hard as he works. But he's going back to his roots in a way, because when he was a college player, that's what they had him do. They played him in the outfield. They bring him into close games. And there really wasn't a lot of pitching involved. It was essentially throwing as hard as you can. And he's touched 100 miles an hour before. So maybe, even if Michael doesn't like to hear this, the best spot for him right now in the major leagues to help your ball club win might be in that bullpen, because they need some help down there.
2 quick outs and a fly ball to left. He gets Conforto. And here's Ruben Tejada, the shortstop, who's 0 for 2, a ground out and a fly out. I just did the AAA World Series in El Paso, Texas this week, and the star of that game was another former Cal State Fullerton pitcher, a guy just like Michael Lorenzen. He was a shortstop. Michael was an outfielder. Chris Davinsky. Davinsky had a no-hitter through 5 innings, didn't give up his first hit till the 6th inning for Fresno. Fresno wound up winning the game 7-0 over Columbus. And by the way, Chris, all of your buddies at Columbus said to say hi. Ken Schnocky, vice president, the president and general manager, who did such a tremendous job this year. They won the Governor's Cup in the International League, beating the Indianapolis Indians, Max Schumacher's club, and a lot of reason to be proud for Max Schumacher and also for Ken. Schnocky chartered a plane, brought 130 people to El Paso.
Oh, wow.
That was big. He usually does stuff big, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. What a great guy. He's been with the Columbus Clippers organization for a long, long time, because he was there when I was there.
Yep.
And that's a long time ago.
Wayne Harris said to say hi to you. Wayne's been there forever. That's a liner right to Votto. 1-2-3. Good inning for Lorenzen. Dave Bruce will lead it off, and we return. Reds trail by 1. Kroger and the Reds are proud to team up to offer you a great value this season. The Kroger Meal Deal. Check concession stands throughout the ballpark for Kroger Meal Deals, which include a hot dog, bag of chips, 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, a Nature Valley Simple Nut Bar. Make sure you get your Kroger Meal Deal today. And of course, it's Kroger that partners with Imes for our Barks in the Park. Fun night here at the ballpark. About 300 of our canine friends here enjoying a picture-perfect night for baseball. The Reds trailing 3-2. Here's Bruce to lead it off. Bottom of the 6th against Steven Matz. Bruce tonight struck out in the first, lined to left in the 4th, 0 for 2 against Matz. .456 feet, the homer in St. Louis. Chris, the longest home run you've seen him hit?
That I can't tell you, George. To be honest with you, I don't pay attention to how far they go. I pay attention to how many you hit.
Yeah. 25 and counting on the year for Jay.
I mean, that's a pitcher talking. I mean, I would rather give up one that goes 500 feet than 3 that go 300 feet each.
Hit hard, glove by Duda.
Mets are one team that really don't put much of a shift on Bruce. They feel like he is a guy that is just going to be as likely to hit the ball the other way as he does to the right side. Hit that ball very sharply that time, but there happened to be a guy with a big mitten down there.
Here's a Eugenio Suarez singled and struck out. Looping into right center. That'll drop for a hit, go all the way to the warning track. He's going to get 2 out of this. He'll pull up at second. He represents the tying run with 1 out in the 6th. He keeps hitting, Chris.
What a good looking swing that he has. I mean, he gets really good balance. His front foot gets down in time, and that is the biggest key for a hitter, is to make sure that you're not late with your front foot, but you still keep your hands back, and he gets that bat through the zone very quickly. And he's picked up his 2nd hit of the night. 19 doubles now for Suarez. I mean, you put together the 2 years that the Red shortstops have done this year. Zach Cozart off to a tremendous offensive start this year before he had the ACL injury. And now Suarez to pick up next to him. I mean, offensively last year, shortstop was a black hole for the Reds.
Yep.
And they needed to improve that, and they did that tremendously. They didn't expect 2 guys to have to combine to do it, though.
There's Pena. High fly ball into left center. Suarez is going to tag, but he's going nowhere. Not on that arm. He might have if Conforto had moved over to catch it, but not with Cespedes there. There's 2 away. And following each and every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, make sure to stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda, for a complete recap and interviews from the locker room. Here's Adam Duvall, who will pinch hit for Lorenzen, who will go 1 inning. And the guy you saw there was Zach Cozart. And Chris, from talking to him, I mean, he feels great so far. His rehab is going great with the knee. That's hit hard. Off right into left. The Reds are going to get the tying run out of it. It knuckled in front of him, took a wicked hop, and bounced past his shoulder.
Well, I thought that was a good matchup that Brian Price was able to figure out a way to get Adam Duvall into the ball game against a left-handed pitcher. And he does it right here. Duvall hits it hard, but kind of a short hop position there for David Wright. He had no choice. That ball just kind of ate him up, had an overspin on it. And Wright normally makes that play, even though he gets his body in front of it. It ricochets off far enough. And the Reds have tied the ball game. And the manager, Terry Collins, will make a pitching change.
Well, heading to the 100 pitch mark, 98 pitches for Steven Matz. His night is over. They were hoping he'd get a win out of it. He will not, and the Reds threaten to take the lead here while the pitching change takes place. We'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. battle for control of the wild card between the Pirates and Cubs. Then the Brewers take on the National League Central leading Cardinals in a game you can only see on FS1. Coverage starts Saturday at 12:30 Eastern on Fox and continues at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. A whole lot of important baseball still left, and the Reds right smack dab in the middle of it. Reds, of course, have this series against the Mets. The Mets' magic number is down to 4. They still play the Cubs for 3 and the Pirates for 3 next week.
Well, the new pitcher is Eric Goodell, a right-hander, 26 years old. He made his major league debut with the Mets last year in September and pitches game number 31 for them this year.
.27 strikeouts and 28 innings pitched.
So he's not a real strikeout pitcher, and he probably doesn't have an overpowering fastball, but he probably is fairly polished. College player at UCLA. 24th round draft pick in 2010.
That resurgent UCLA baseball program that won a national championship. They've come a long way back. Check swing. Did he go? Adam Duvall, short lead down at first.
Well, in 2010, when they made that deal, when they drafted Goodell in the 24th round, that was in the second day of the draft, and the Mets went out and drafted, out of the 28 picks that they had in the second day of the draft, they drafted only 2 high schoolers. Everybody else is a college player. So they're trying to get maybe a little more experience. Maybe that was the purpose of getting them into the minor leagues and helping some better high school prospects around them. The articles I read about it said that the Mets didn't intentionally do that, but they just thought that the players that were up there would serve them the best. They happen to be college players. Goodell, one of them. There just aren't that many 24th round high school kids that end up in the big leagues, but you see that happen more often out of the college ranks. And now you see where he gets the strikeouts.
Nasty stuff. Bourgeois retired. The Reds strand a runner, but they get an RBI from Duvall and have tied it at 3. Ball game. David Wright back off the disabled list, picks up his 14th run batted in, ties the game at 1 with a double to left in the 3rd inning. And then after a hit by Murphy and a sacrifice fly, Lucas Duda picks up his 59th run batted into the season as Murphy scores, and the Mets have a 3-1 lead. Meanwhile, Brandon Phillips has given the Reds some punch in the 1st inning. The Jesus Votto singled, and Phillips bounces one in the left. That makes it Reds on the board for the first time. An RBI for Phillips. And then in the 5th, trailing 3-1, Phillips bangs this one into left to get the Reds to within 1, 3-2. And Adam Duvall, pinch hitting in the pitcher spot, gets this base hit that explodes in front of the third baseman David Wright. Eugenio Suarez scores to tie the game at 3, and that's where we are. 3 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Reds, 7 left on, 3-7-0 for the Mets, 5 left on for the Mets. Steven Matz, 5 2/3, 10 hits, 3 runs, 8 strikeouts and a walk. For the Reds, Josh Smith started 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts and a walk. Michael Lorenzen had a 1-2-3 6th inning. And we head to the 7th, the third pitcher of the day for the Reds, Chris.
Well, it's a left-hander, Manny Parr. We've seen him many times. He's also been on the disabled list a few times this year, 3 times to be exact. That's why he only has 37 appearances. An elbow, a shoulder, and a neck have caused him to miss time, and he will face a pinch hitter in Michael Kadire, 2-time All-Star. Won the batting title for in the National League for the Colorado Rockies in 2013. First year with the Mets.
Pinch hitting in the 9th spot in the order, the pitcher spot. So Goodell pitches a 1/3 of an inning with 1 strikeout. And we talk about, you get to September, where do you want to be? And he doesn't have the playing time that he'd like to have right now. He's had injuries this year, been in and out of the lineup, and since Cespedes and Conforto came up, his playing time has diminished markedly. But talking to him before the game, he said, look, I mean, the last few years in Colorado, we had no chance when you got to September. He said, yeah, I'd like to play more, but I'm happier to be part of a pennant race and head into the postseason. Solid pro. Not just a good hitter, Chris. He's a good clubhouse guy. He and David Wright have been friends for a long time. That's one of the reasons why he signed to go to New York. And certainly he was on the wish list for the Reds this offseason when the Reds were looking for somebody from the right side of the plate that might help them offensively.
Well, he's an upbeat guy, and he's always a really good clubhouse guy. And I think sometimes that gets a little bit overlooked. I have to look to see what kind of a deal that Kadire ended up signing. But he's really now in a platoon situation with Conforto. The young man who started tonight is getting just about all the at-bats against right-handed pitching. Conforto being a left-handed hitter, and Kadire gets all the bats that come really out of left field against a left-hander.
Addison Reed has been loosening in the bullpen for the Mets. 3-2. Hit hard. Bullet arm, and they get him at first.
Good pick at both ends.
Great job on a bullet shot to short. Eugenio Suarez gobbles it up, and Votto scoops it up 1 away.
You know, anytime you go down like this, you have to make sure that you set your feet in order to get enough on the throw to get it across the infield. And that was enough for Votto to be able to reach out and scoop it up without much trouble.
Joey has won a Gold Glove. In fact, when he did win the Gold Glove at first base, the guy in the broadcast booth right next to him, right next to us, was the guy who presented it to him at the banquet in New York City. And that's, you know, maybe the greatest first baseman, Chris, of our generation. That's Keith Hernandez.
Defensively anyway.
Yeah, with a glove. Just something special. Granderson flied out, bounced out twice.
Yeah, it's funny because you bring up Hernandez and as a great first baseman, but he doesn't have Hall of Fame numbers. But when he was traded from the St. Louis Cardinals to the Mets, I mean, he all of a sudden became a clubhouse leader where he wasn't in St. Louis, and really was maybe the missing ingredient that got them to the point of becoming world champions. Had a lot to do with it from the internal standpoint.
Hit hard. Phillips off the side of the glove into right field, a base hit. So Granderson gets his first hit. 1 out, 1 on here in the 7th. And Votto, when he received the Gold Glove award, he said the most meaningful part of it was the guy who gave it to him, because Keith Hernandez, his first year, his rookie year, spent some time talking to both he and Jay Bruce about hitting from the left side and making the transition to the majors, and then about fielding your position at first. And Joey took that to heart, just the way he has in everything he's done. Tireless worker, offensively, defensively. Spring training the last couple of years, especially after the injury, working on his running game, working on trying to learn how to slide. He hurt his left knee. He always slid with his left knee under him. Had to completely rework and relearn how to slide to try to put his right leg under him. That's not easy to do. Anybody that's played baseball, you get used to sliding for 20 years one way, unless you're a longtime base stealer that uses both sides. That's tough to do. It's like telling you to play golf right-handed.
Well, you learn how to do it. It's the adjustment that you have to make if you're afraid of sliding with your other knee. There are a lot of guys that have knee surgeries and they never figure out a way to slide the other way. They just continue to slide the way they originally did.
Then there was Bip Roberts, who just gave up and went head first, right? He still owes his pizzas, doesn't he? Breaking ball, 1 strike. Right, struck out, double to the left to knock in the first run for the Mets to tie the game at 1 in the 3rd, and then struck out looking in the 5th. That was against Josh Smith. How do you evaluate the package of Manny Parra, Chris? There are times he looks to be one of the best left-handers in the league. There are other times just does not look consistent.
Well, for Manny, I think a lot of it is being healthy. I mean, we have seen him in and out of good health with his arm, with his neck, a couple of other ailments along the way.
In the air to right. Back is Bruce. Warning track. Runner going halfway. And he hauls it in.
2 away. I mean, one of the things about, when you're designing a bullpen and when you're putting a bullpen together, I mean, there's a lot of different theories on this, but I always go back to one that Tony La Russa would expound, is that, I want at least 2 left-handers in a bullpen, preferably 3. And there are some managers and general managers say, no, just give me right-handers with good stuff. They can get lefties out just as well. But when you're going to bring left-handers in, you got to think that you're going to get left-handers that can give you a complete season, because they're going to be in there a lot. The type of pitchers that will give you 70 to 75 appearances, they may only pitch 40 innings, but they're going to be in there to face the toughest lefty on the other team whenever he comes up. So you need that rubber arm guy. Or a couple of them.
What's more damaging, number of appearances or pitches thrown in those appearances?
If I knew that, I'd have a PhD next to my name.
Or you'd have there's a shot into the corner. Here's Granderson running. He can motor around second, going to third. Tuffle's going to send him. Here comes the turnaround and the throw from Phillips. They got a shot at him, but he'll beat the throw to the plate, and a triple for Daniel Murphy, his second key hit of the ball game, and that gives the Mets a 4-3 lead.
That is a really good job by their third base coach, Tim Tuffle, because he gets about halfway down the third base line, and he's got to gauge where's the ball and where's the runner. Where's the relay man, and now where's the runner? And he has to tell that runner before that ball gets to the relay man, you keep on coming. You got to judge the speed of your runner. Granderson's got wheels, and you can see that he waves them all the way. And even though there was a shot of at the plate, Tuffle makes the right choice, and the Mets go ahead.
So Tim Tuffle wheels the go-ahead run in here in the 7th inning, 4-3 Mets, and here is Cespedes with a runner on third and 2 away.
Of course, in the dugout, they're telling Curtis Granderson, way to score on a triple.
And And you saw the route that Granderson took too. He had the idea of trying to score. I mean, he cut it short at second and cut it short at third. Didn't take a wide turn either place. He gave Tuffle the chance to wave him in. Curtis has had a good year for the Mets.
34-year-old. Still got a lot of baseball left in him.
Still huffing and puffing. 4-3 Mets. Nice spot down and in. 1 ball 2 strikes. Cespedes hit one to the warning track in left center. Hit a sacrifice fly to center that gave the Mets the 2-1 lead, and then singled to center in the 5th. Rocket into center. That was up a little bit, and Cespedes made Parra pay. A bullet to center, a base hit. His second hit and second run batted into the ball game. 5-3 Mets.
Well, it was up, but it was also out over the plate, and you saw the awkward swing that Cespedes had on the previous pitch of trying to come down and in. That time they're trying to go away, but he leaves it on the outer third, and that is good hitting spot right there.
Three Mets. Cespedes on, and here comes Duda. Duda's double in the 3rd gave the Mets a 3-1 lead. He's 1 for 2 and a walk. That's a strike 1-1. Check it. 0-2. Little bigger lead for Cespedes down at first after Parra throws over once. Catcher Travis d'Arnaud on deck. This one hit a ton to left center field. Bourgeois going over, looking up. It's one hop off the wall. Rounding third is Cespedes. He's going to score easily. And a double by Duda, his second run batted into the night, and the Mets have come all the way back and lead it 6-3.
And it's not taking very long at all for Brian Price to come bolting up the steps of that dugout. Retiring to 2 of the first 3 batters you face. You give up an extra base hit to Murphy, a single to Cespedes, and this double by the left-hander. That's the guy really that Brian Price figures, I know he's going to get him out. And he leaves the pitch out over the plate, and Duda wins the battle.
That'll be it for Parra. While the pitching change takes place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. night against the New York Rangers, just 15 days away, on the home of the Blue Jackets, Fox Sports Ohio. Fingers crossed towards the playoffs are the Blue Jackets for the 2015-2016 season. Here's BB. Burt Badenhop will come in for his 64th appearance of the season, Chris.
Well, that's a typical year for Badenhop because he's a guy that just about every year will give his team 60 or more appearances. He gave the Boston Red Sox 70 last year. This is number 64. Been with Florida, Tampa Bay, Milwaukee. Last year with the Red Sox and now with the Reds. And he's been using all different varieties out of the bullpen. At one time he was used as the 8th inning man early in the year when Kevin Gregg was initially given that responsibility. That didn't go well. Badenhop had a chance and he had a miserable month of April. But he's been really good ever since.
Darno, high fly ball to right. Bruce under it, got it, but the damage done. A 1-out single, a 2-out triple, 2 singles, and the lead 6-3 for the Mets.
Arrive early and be one of the first 25,000 fans to receive commemorative All-Star Game figurine is presented by your Tri-State Chevy dealers. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to reds.com/tickets. I'm Jim Day. Let's continue our injury updates and more good news. Been getting questions on social media about John Moscott and how his rehab is going after shoulder surgery. And I talked to John today, and the news is very good as well. He's had no setbacks on that non-throwing shoulder that was operated on. He is now throwing from 200 feet, and on October 1st, they're going to send him to Arizona, where eventually he will face some live hitters. And he also told me that the Reds have told him he will play winter ball somewhere this winter. They haven't determined where, but he's excited about it, says things are going great, and looking forward to 2016. Another guy that's going to be in the mix for that Reds rotation next year.
Hey, JD, while you're doing the injury report, here's Addison Reed, who takes over. How are you doing? You know, after your heroics saving Todd Frazier, you know, I imagine you probably spent some time in the training room, right?
I did. Yeah, a little holding that weight up. Got a little bit of elbow problem. I'm working out some of the fatigue from that. A little bit of inflammation.
No DL appearance, though?
No DL appearance. As long as the voice is working, all good.
That was big, Chris, huh?
You know what? You can always depend on Jim Day. That's why we call him every day Jim Day.
I thought I was the only one that did Donald Duck.
You're always there, JD. Here's Addison Reed.
This is a really interesting acquisition that the Mets made when they traded Reed for Reed from the Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, he was originally drafted and brought up by the Chicago White Sox and then traded to the Diamondbacks in 2013. But that was when he was 24 years old. And when he was at the Chicago White Sox, was their closer. He had 40 saves in 2013 at age 24. He's only 26 right now. So you bring a guy in who still has a lot of upside age-wise, who's had experience as a closer, and you put him in the 7th inning spot. That means the back end of your bullpen you must be pretty happy with, and they are here.
Here's Joey. Singled to center, singled over the second baseman, and then with 2 runners on, popped out into foul territory in the 5th. That's probably the biggest at bat for Matz just before he left the ball game. Got Votto in a key situation. Phillips followed with a base hit that got the Reds to within 1, and then a base hit by Duvall tied the game at 3. Big swing, 0-2. He joined us late this afternoon. The Pirates beat Colorado 5-4. Dodgers won over Arizona 8-3. And Baltimore beat Washington 5-4. Tonight Miami leads the Phillies 1-0. They're in the 8th inning, and the Cardinals on top of Milwaukee 6-3. By the way, congratulations to Pete McCann. Great news to see that he's finally getting doesn't have to walk around with that card that says interim manager for hire after being the interim manager in Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia. He signed through next year.
Yeah, we took care of that last night, George, and we said we made a panel with the interim, and we were able to just erase the interim right on the telestrator there. Really, congratulations. And I'll tell you, a high energy guy, knows the game of baseball. You know, is taking over a team that is in distress right now. There's no question about it. I mean, they are way down compared to what they were just a few years ago. I think we'll change out general managers. They have a new field manager in McCannon, and things are probably beginning to look up for the Phillies, even though they had to make some drastic changes.
Andy McPhail takes over as the president there. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Votto. And talking to someone in Philadelphia this week, I mean, they attributed a major turnaround in the clubhouse to the way Pete McCannon has handled that team and that club. That's ball 4. Votto on for the 3rd time. Reed issues a walk, 1 out, 1 on. Here comes Brandon. 2 singles to left that plated 2 runs. He's 2 for 3. Our Kia in the driver's seat numbers brought to you by Kia. In the driver's seat is the Reds' second baseman tonight. 2 for 3, a couple of singles, 2 runs batted in. He's inching closer to that 300 mark, 296. I mean, he's had brilliant defensive years, solid offensive years. When you combine everything, where he's had to play this year in the leadoff spot, hitting 3rd, hitting 4th, this may be his best year.
Make a really good argument about that. I mean, defensively, he's as good as he's ever been. And I think what he does offensively this year has become, he finally gets the fact that, you know, maybe I don't want to swing for the fences. Home runs at 12. Most of his plate appearances this year have been in the leadoff spot, 280 of those. The second have come where he is right now with the number 4 spot. He's also batted second a little bit. He's batted 5th, 6th. And he plays every day.
Every day, BP. One hopper down to second, 4-6. Not this time. Here's a double play. Reds get a walk, nothing to show for it. They still trail 6-3 into the 8th. Strongest fan photo to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Thanks, Jessica. That's a good looking group there, Chris.
Well, they were smart enough to send in their photo, and they were lucky enough to be picked for our man of the game. New pitcher in for the Reds. It'll be the fourth pitcher of the night for Brian Price and his group, Sam LeCure. 15 games now for Sam. He pitched in 41 games this year down in Louisville when he was sent out from spring training. Did not make the club out of spring training. Shocked a lot of people on the ball club. But he vowed to himself to get back to the major leagues, and he has done that.
You know, talking to him when he came back, he said, yeah, I was shocked. I expected to be coming north with the club. And when you talk to people down in Louisville, Chris, he didn't miss a beat down there. He became a mentor to so many of the young pitchers down there. But that is what you would expect from Sam LeCure.
You know, a lot of times veteran organizational people will tell you that the toughest place by far to manage is AAA, because you got young bucks coming up who can't miss prospects, who all of a sudden are getting their comeuppance because it's a pretty good caliber of ball there, and they're struggling.
Conforto bangs one down to Votto, who shovels to LeCure. There's one away. Michael, 1 for 4, a single his first time up.
And then the other part of it is that you have big leaguers who are being sent down, who may be on their way out of their major league, minor league career. You never know, or maybe in a transition, but they're not feeling good about being sent down. And they can be a problem. They can be a problem to your clubhouse. They can be a problem to you. You want to make sure if they've got, you know, a bad attitude, that it doesn't become contagious to everybody else on the club. So it's a tough balancing act down there. But if you get a player like Sam LeCure who comes down there and helps glue the team together, that's when you really have something. And I think that had a lot to do with him being called back up here.
Here's Ruben Tejada, 0 for 3. Bounced out, struck out, lined out. You know, in that same vein of thought, at the AAA World Series championship game, the Gildan AAA championship game out in Fresno this week, Fresno won it 7-0 over Columbus, and the game itself had some interesting stories, some great young players and some veterans, and a story that evolved as the game progressed. The guy that you and I both know, Sean Markham, was signed by Toronto, 13-year major league veteran. He was sent down, spent some time, of course. He pitched against the Reds. You know, Columbus, of course, the farm team of the Indians, and when we went to Cleveland, he was a spot starter, called up from AAA to start, spent a little time up there, then was sent down. Here's a hard hit ball, pass, Suarez into center field. Chris Tremie, the manager there, wondered what Sean Markham would bring to his ball club, and going into the game, the final game, he said he's been nothing but positive. As it turned out, talking to him before the game, he said this is going to be it. You know, they've talked about re-signing him. He said, I'm retiring. I'm going to be a high school coach after today. He came in the 8th inning, struck out the first 2 batters he faced, got a pop up for the final out, left the field, and every player in that Columbus dugout stood there, hugged him. You could see the tears coming out. Chris, that moment was something pretty special, because he meant so much to those young players, the young pitchers. A great team, and we knew he was a great teammate at the major league level, but after 13 years, didn't tell anybody. Very quiet, but the players knew it.
Well, you know, it just goes to show you, George, no matter how good your coaching staff, you still learn more from your teammates than you do your coaches.
True.
That's why it's so important to have character in your clubhouse.
Agreed. Kelly Johnson pinch hitting, and we talk about the changes in this club. And you don't just look at average. I mean, he's in at 210, but he's come up with some big hits. 210 career pinch hitter, overall at 269 this year, 14 homers, 47 knocked in. Johnson's been a integral part of the bounce back of this club. And another guy who helped turn things around, certainly. You got Kadire off the disabled list. He helped. Juan Uribe was a big addition. He's come up with a dozen key hits as well. I mean, you look at who you have to call on any given night. If you got a Kelly Johnson and a Juan Uribe to come off the bench as a pinch hitter, that's pretty good. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Johnson. Swing and a miss. A strikeout for Sam LeCure. Second out of the inning. Back to the top of the order, Curtis Granderson. You remember your last appearance?
Yeah. Last day of the season. Last big league experience. Last day of the season, I started that game. And against San Diego Padres. He said, listen, all we need is to get 5 innings out of you. As it turned out, I ended up going 7 innings. I think we lost 2-1. And Tony Gwynn hit 2 doubles. One hit the right field baseline chalk, and the other one hit the left field baseline chalk.
Typical Tony Gwynn night.
He was integral in not bringing that season to a close.
Did you know at that time that you weren't coming back the next year?
No, I did not. I thought I was. I was hoping I was. Until I found out that Pete and I got released on the same day. They brought him back as manager, and a couple of years later brought me back as broadcaster.
Worked out pretty good for me.
And me too.
Thank you very much.
Well, you know, Pete always said I talked a better game than I pitched anyway.
I tell you though, you know, we talk about the art of broadcasting. John Madden was probably the blue ribbon best in football. You put Pete in the same category, commenting on baseball. Number 1, he knows the game. Number 2, he's got great stories. Number 3, he stays up on the game, and he's got a tremendous personality. You look back on a career, I don't think I ever did a bad interview with Pete Rose. He always had something to say.
No such thing.
Not only when he had the hit streak going, but he went after the all-time hit record, and it was a joy. Every day he'd entertain the media. He enjoyed it. I mean, today people go hide.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It's tough to get some interviews. And when they say something, they don't say anything.
2-1, missing wide, 3-1.
I really thought that Jim Day was going to ride the Pete Rose interview wagon all the way to, to maybe the theater district in New York.
It could be a Broadway show.
Absolutely, that was cut to be a Broadway show.
2-man show instead of the 1-man show. He does 1-man shows, by the way.
You can get Rick Steiner to put that together.
I'm in.
See, we woke him up down here. That got him up. There's a pop-up down the line. Is there going to be room? It is caught. Nice job by Frazier. Again, a clap of the hands from Sam LeCure to get out of the inning. Granderson pops up. Good job by number 21. And JD, you didn't even have to catch him this time.
Ready for that night's game is brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing, and what a pitching matchup we'll see tomorrow night. You know the Mets can pitch, but the Reds will send their best out there. Anthony DeSclafani, both guys. Noah Syndergaard under a 4 ERA. Reds live at 6:30 tomorrow. Guys, we were talking about Pete Rose. Commissioner Rob Manfred was on national radio today and talking about the Pete Rose situation and possible reinstatement. He was to meet with Pete Rose, but he was supposed to be in August. But the commissioner said today that by the end of the year, he will not only have met face-to-face with Pete Rose, but he will render his decision. Many expected it to be in the second half of the season. And this is just me talking. I think they realize that he's such a polarizing figure that they want to wait till after the playoffs to render that decision, because it will, whichever way it goes, get a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a November story, not an October story, that's for sure. Either way. And I think everybody, we've weighed in on this so many times over the years and so many times this year, but we'll see how it all unfolds. Here's Juan Lagares, who comes in center field. Lagares in center. That moves Cespedes over to left for Conforto. And here's Robles in to pitch against Todd Frazier. Hansel Robles. Frazier, who just missed a home run last time up, skies this one to right center field, and Lagares is there. Lagares is a Gold Glove winner, a brilliant defender. Has had elbow trouble this year and may have to undergo surgery in the offseason, and didn't hit a lot, so he's given way, except for defensive reasoning, to the rest of this outfield configuration. As you saw, Robles in the numbers for him. If you join us late, Steven Matz started, trying to win his 5th without a loss. 98 pitches for Matz, 5 2/3 innings, 10 hits and 3 runs. He struck out 8 and he walked 1. For the Reds, Josh Smith started, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts and a walk. Neither one figure in the final decision here. Matz had the lead but gave it up in that 6th inning with the base hit by Duvall. Liddell got the final out of the 6th. Addison Reed pitched the 7th, and here's Hansel Robles in the 8th. Jay Bruce struck out, lined out, bounced out.
I'm not sure what's going on down there, but animated out of the dugout immediately came Terry Collins, and he came right after the first base umpire, Angel Hernandez. Now the crew chief, Ted Barrett, and the home plate umpire, Adam Hamar, are going to try to make sense of it.
Ted Barrett to the left, and the home plate umpire, Adam Hamari, talking to Collins.
Well, I think what may have happened is that Adam Hamari pointed at the pitcher Robles after his last pitch. And I want to say that he called, would he call that a quick pitch? It's 2-1, right? Or is it 1?
1-2.
Well, that's what our Fox box says, but I'm not so sure. Is it?
They called it a quick pitch. Call it a quick pitch. That's about the only thing I look at. I mean, he never did come to us.
Well, you don't have to come to a stop with nobody on base, but
he stayed on the rubber the whole time.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. You can still do that, but you have to allow the hitter to get into the box and be ready. And
Robles obviously upset over it.
I want to say that the Mets have been involved in some quick pitch incidents previously this year.
Oh, sure.
And really what it presents is a danger to the hitter.
This one hit deep, going way back. Jay Bruce, it's going to be gone. Number 26 for the Reds right fielder. Not only does it give Jay Bruce his 26th home run, it gives us a winner in our Toyota truck giveaway. Rafael Gonzalez, whose name was drawn prior to the game. Rafael out of Florence, Kentucky, congratulations. You've got a brand new Toyota Tundra. And if you joined us late during the homestand, it got a whole lot easier to win the Toyota Tundra tonight with a new set of rules. That whole area, just to recap for you, and there's a pop up to the shortstop from the bullpen, the visiting bullpen, all the way through the moon deck, all the way to the big stacks. The whole area in red there, any red hitting a home run into that area, it would give Rafael Gonzalez from Florence, Kentucky, the brand new 2015 Tundra, courtesy of the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Visit reds.com/Tundra for more information. So Jesse, sorry you don't get the Tundra, but Rafael Gonzalez of Florence does.
Well, congratulations, Rafael. And congratulations to all the Toyota dealers and the Toyota Corporation of North America that put it all together. It didn't take long. They knew when they changed the rules. They obviously opened up the territory.
So a happy swing for Jay Bruce and a happy swing for Rafael Gonzalez. Well, the Reds back to within 2, 6-4. .393 feet on the homer. I hit a mile in the air and deep enough for the round tripper for Jay. Pena hits a 2-hopper down to short. Pena taken care of, but the Reds give Rafael Gonzalez something to smile about. He gets the Toyota. Bruce gets the homer. The Reds are within 2, 6-4. Been brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. Jay Bruce had a smile on his face for hitting the homer and a smile for the fans out in that right field area celebrating a home run ball that gave Rafael Gonzalez a brand new Toyota Tundra. lot of happy folks at the ballpark. And another successful year for the Toyota dealers, Chris. You know, over the years, no one's hit the Tundra or hit the sign yet, but over the years we've had some great moments with police departments, fire departments, and first responders getting those trucks over the years. This year they decided to allow fans to register for it, and the end result is a smiling night for Rafael Gonzalez.
Well, you know, 8 years Jay Bruce has been patrolling right field, and you get close to the people out there. There are season ticket holders in that right field moon deck out there. There were excellent seats, as we know, George. We've telecast games from out there before, and you build up a little bit of a bond. I don't know if Rafael Gonzalez is one of those who often goes out there, but he was smart enough to go to the Toyota dealers, register his name, and be picked tonight when Jay Bruce hit a long one into there to win him a very stylish truck.
Now, the Toyota was awarded to Rafael Gonzalez tonight, and it just, you know, during this homestand, the opportunity to win the Tundra came by hitting a home run into the stands. The rest of the season, if someone hits the Toyota sign, they also would get one. So the contest will continue. So wait for somebody to hit that.
And it looks pretty big. It looks like a big target right there, right?
Well, yeah, one night, remember Joey hit one just under the sign that one night? Missed it by no more than about 10 or 15 feet.
Well, if you remember the closest one as being 15 feet away, there haven't been a lot of
them. Adam Dunn left town too soon, huh?
Some would probably agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
Some others maybe not so much.
Yep. Here's David Wright. Struck out, doubled in a run, struck out, and flied out. That's a called strike 3. Strikeout for Jumbo Diaz, a new pitcher for the Reds.
Jumbo's coming in throwing gas, and it's right on the outside corner, and that will be a give up pitch by David Wright. And now our flamethrower of the night, brought to you by, of course, Cholula hot sauce at 97.
Jumbo had got his earned run average down to just about the 4.0 level his last 2 appearances. He's given up some runs, so it's back up to 4.42, but a whole lot of workload for this big right-hander.
Well, considering he was down in the minor leagues for nearly 6 weeks, Jumbo got consistent work down there for Louisville, but it was more or less a wake-up call for a young man that has spent 12 years in the minor leagues before he made it to the major leagues. A little gentle reminder of, you got to come up here and you got to get people out. And looking forward, you wonder where Jumbo fits in on the plans for the Reds moving forward. I mean, is he a keeper bullpenner? Is he a guy that they would, you know, offer a deal to over the wintertime? Does he throw enough strikes? I mean, there's no doubting his arm, but he's always had that.
You know, the Reds, of course, wrote the book with the Nasty Boys back in 1990, Power Arms in the bullpen. Here's Murphy, swing and a miss. Daniel 3 for 4 on the night. They got him the first time up, then 2 singles and a triple and a run batted in. But now, I mean, Chris, when you were pitching, you usually had maybe one guy that'd be somewhere around 95, 98. Now you go after your starter, you're looking at 2-3 guys coming in throwing gas on almost every bullpen.
Yeah, you're right, because it used to be the bullpens were for starting pitchers that didn't get enough people out. So you'd have starter stuff down in the bullpen, which is a sinker, slider, curveball, changeup, all the different pitches. And that guy would come out and try to weave that type of magic, you know, in the middle innings when you needed them. But there were no such thing as middle relievers. Now, baseball has created a whole new player, essentially a profile of a player, which is in the 6th inning, you bring a guy in that probably throws 95. In the 6th inning or 7th inning, you know, he's at 97. In the 8th inning, he's at 99. And if you have what you want as a closer, you have a guy throwing 100. to close games for you. And that's just the way it is all around baseball. I mean, the more scouts and the more baseball operatives I talk to, the more I hear about these young guys in the minor leagues that are throwing 100 miles an hour. Every organization has 2 or 3 of them at least.
I remember you always tell the story about when you need a big pitch. Robin Roberts always told you to pick your best pitch and take a little bit off a little bit. And you wonder if maybe that philosophy of just throwing hard is part of the genesis of all this arm trouble of young pitchers. They finally find a way to get Murphy the big swing and a strikeout, back-to-back strikeouts for Diaz.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head. The problem is that faster pitchers are harder to hit. So until you figure out a way to combine them, you're going to see it no matter how you take care of a young man's arm. You know, a lot of ball clubs say that the injuries and the damage to the elbows especially has been done long before they ever signed a pro contract. But the harder they seem to throw, the harder they go down, and the more often.
I mean, it's one thing if you're Jumbo Diaz and you've been around for 10 or 12 years and you know what to handle with your arm and your body. It's something else if you're 15, 16, 17 years old and you're trying to throw 98 every time out there.
You're trying to get attention. You're trying to get signed either by college or by pro. Jumbo's had Tommy John surgery.
One ball.
It's hard to find a bullpen staff where at least half the guys out there, say there's 8 of them in the bullpen, but at least 4 of them haven't at some point along the way had Tommy John surgery.
Some more than once these days.
Yeah.
Here's Cespedes. Flied out to the warning track. Sacrifice fly to the warning track. And 2 singles. 2 runs batted in. He continues to produce runs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Not very often a midseason trade pays off the way this trade is paid off for the Mets. And the irony of it all, maybe it was the trade that didn't happen that allowed the Mets to get back into it. The trade with Milwaukee for Gomez didn't go through. They went to what was their 3rd or 4th choice, which was Cespedes, and boy, has he ignited this Mets offense. I mean, there was interest from one end of the National League to the other, to the American League as well. I mean, the Mets were interested in Jay Bruce too at the All-Star break, right before the All-Star break. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This agent's Rock Nation, isn't it? Cespedes, I think so.
You know, I don't know. I thought that was a hip hop group.
It is, but they're agents now too. See where we are?
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes. He got him at 97. How about Jumbo? A jumbo inning for Jumbo Diaz. He strikes out the side, top of 9. Can the Reds put together a rally? 9-1-2 due up. The season. Get view level tickets to see the Reds and Mets this weekend for just $10. Any game on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, only $10. Go to reds.com/FSOhio. Use the code FSOhio to get yours right now. 6 runs, 12 hits, no errors, 7 left on for the Mets, 4 runs, 11 hits, no errors, 7 left on for the Reds. If you joined us late, for the Reds, Josh Smith started, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs. Steven Matz started for the Mets. The young man who made his major league debut against the Reds back in June at Citi Field. He threw 98 pitches, 5 2/3, 10 hits, 3 runs. He had a 3-2 lead, couldn't hold it, left the game in a 3-3 tie. From there, it's been the bullpen. The Reds have gotten 2 run-scoring base hits from Brandon Phillips and a base hit from Adam Duvall, and the homer from Jay Bruce is 26 of the year. For the Mets, Daniel Murphy was 3 for 4, including a triple that knocked in a run. David Wright, a double that knocked in a run, a sacrifice fly, and a single that knocked in 2 runs for Cespedes. And Lucas Duda had a double and a single that knocked in 2 runs. Now it's up to the closer for the Mets, Jerry Familia, to close things out. Here's the number 9 spot, and Skip Schumacher to lead it off in the ninth. Schumacher bounces to second, and there's 1 away. Jerry's Familia is one of the most impressive stories of this year, Chris. He wasn't scheduled to be the closer when the season started, when Mejia was sent to suspension after the performance-enhancing suspension that he sustained. Familia has just taken over big time. Struggled last time out.
Just when you think he could not put together a season better than he did last year, he's doing it. I mean, last year he had 77 innings in 76 games, earned run average at 2.2. That's incredibly hard for a short reliever to do that, because 1 or 2 bad outings blows your earned run average for the season. So this year his earned run average is even better than it was last year. Plus he has 41 saves.
That's 3rd in the major leagues, and that puts him tied for 2nd on the club's single season save list. Armando Benitez also on that list, and is first with 43 saves back in 2001.
Well, he was fun to watch pitch, Benitez.
Wasn't he? Unless you were the manager, I guess.
Kind of a character, but fun to watch from afar.
And Armando also was suspended at one point in time for a period, that bounced back and had become a mentor for young pitchers in the offseason. 1 and 2 fouled off. You know, Terry Collins is in a you want to say tough spot, but a difficult spot, because yes, they're closing in on clinching the division. Their magic number down to 4. If they win tonight, it's down to 3, because Washington lost today. But in addition to that, they want to have the best record in the National League, so they'll have home field advantage over the Dodgers. The best record with the Dodgers, because they'll face them in the first round of the playoffs, not in the league. There's a swing and a miss, a strikeout of Jason Bourgeois. 0 for 5 on the night, and here's Ivan De Jesus, who has 2 hits. So he's leaned on his closer maybe a little more than he would like, but if you get to the postseason and you have home field advantage in a series that'll go coast to coast, LA to New York, that'll help.
It does help you a lot. And also, I think the worry of wearing your relievers out late in the year, that may be the case leading up to the very end of the season. But once the postseason takes over and adrenaline kicks in, and you're playing in front of, 45,000 packed, standing room only, and in the case of Citi Field, it's more than that, then you forget all about being a little bit tired.
Steven Matz in the middle there. He started today. Jacob deGrom, who will get the ball for the Mets on Sunday. We'll talk about the whole starting rotation scenario for the Mets tomorrow. Ground ball is short, long throw, long stretch, and that'll do it for the Reds. A quiet ninth, 1-2-3. Familia picks up save number 42, one away from Benitez with 43 for the Mets single season record. So the end result on this one, 6 runs, 12 hits, no errors, 7 left. 4 runs, 11 hits, no errors, 7 left for the Reds. The victory goes to Familia and the Mets in game 1 of the series. That lowers their magic number to 3 to clinch the Eastern Division. And as has been the case for the last 2 months, Yoenis Cespedes had a hand in this one. Cespedes' sacrifice fly gave the Mets the lead back in the 3rd, 2-1. And then in the 7th inning, a base hit to center gave them a 5-3 lead. So they were as advertised tonight, Chris.
Well, they played a very workmanlike ball game. They came into this game in this series having lost 6 of the last 8, 4 of the last 5 in Cincinnati. Or excuse me, winning the last 4 of the last 5 in Cincinnati. So a team that maybe needed a new place to play because they were being worn out a little bit at home. Get on the road right here in Cincinnati. Has been friendly confines for them before, and they come out with a win tonight.
And they've now won 10 of the last 12 against the Reds. More to talk about, a whole lot more to talk about coming up. Reds Live postgame by Performance Kings Honda next.